show saw Bob Saget's stand-up buddies, including Jim Carrey, Chris Rock, John Lovitz, and a bunch of others paying tribute to their late friend. Stamos and Mayer, who were both pallbearers at the funeral, formed an impromptu house band. The sold-out evening was a benefit for the Scleroderma Foundation, of course, which was a near dear cause to Bob's heart since losing a sister to that disease. We're going to hear a lot more on Bob's life and legacy and a special conversation with his Full House co-star, Candace Cameron Bure. That is this Thursday right here on Today. Next up, Jennifer Lopez, the singer and actress, graces the cover of People's Love Issue and opening up about her own life and rekindled romance with Ben Affleck. J-Lo told the magazine, "I feel so lucky and happy," you okay, Craig? "And proud to be with him. It's a beautiful love story that we got a second chance."
The wrong pipe.
You believe J-Lo, though, right?
I do.
Oh, okay.
That's not a reflection.
I thought you were calling a little.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
we used to do that
I
in
think she's
seventh
in
grade,
love.
but we did something else with the...
Yeah, sorry about that.
He did choke.
It's hard to believe.
Okay.
The new issue of People hits newsstands on
What'd she
Friday,
say?
and you can
we
find
missed it 'cause all the
she's
comments.
happy to have the second chance, and she's
Okay.
proud of the relationship and happy about it.
I thought you were just emotionally touched by that.
Well, I do love J-Lo, so
Yeah.
maybe that was, sorry.
You like Ben?
Today.com's got a lot more. We're going to catch up with J-Lo on this and her new movie, Marry Me, when she stops by our studio on Thursday. Good catch with the water there.
Wow.
Next up, look who it is. Who was it? Savannah Guthrie. In an interview airing today on the Drew Barrymore show, Savannah talks all about the upcoming Olympics. You have a cooking show?
Yeah.
Well, that's ironic.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is.
I didn't know that. They gave you a cooking show?
I know. It's weird.
What do you do on that show?
Learns how to cook.
Like,
You learn how to cook?
Yeah,
Oh,
draw
okay.
blood.
Genius idea.
Yeah, hurt myself.
You also get a new tattoo with Drew. Let's take a look at this clip.
Well, exactly.
Would you ever get a tattoo?
I would, and I kind of want to right now. Like, my mother's just rolling her eyes. I would get a tattoo with you.
Yes.
Anytime. Do
By
you
the
want to
way-
get another one?
Yeah, I want to get one right here.
Oh, so it's happening.
Okay, so what are you going to...
No, we are going to get a tattoo
What do
together.
you
Not
want?
a matching tattoo. She's got something she wants to do, and I'm working it out. If I did it, I might put something really small, like on my arm.
Maybe
or
a little
something.
frying pan?
Yeah, like just to mark my cooking journey. Yeah,
I'm
good
excited
idea.
about this.
Yeah, the tattoo.
When's it
Well,
gonna
you've
happen?
got an earring. I have to keep
true.
up.
Well.
You know, so yeah.
Next
Why
week,
are you looking at me like that?
I'm just thinking about what kind of lettering you're going to do Feldy. You're going to do Feldy, right? What sort of font you'll use.
Yes.
We'll catch that whole conversation with Drew and SG. Check your local listing for that. All right, we're going to turn to our Super Bowl commercial kickoff series, and it's a doubleheader this morning. Starting things off, we've got a sneak peek at Telemundo's ad for this year's World Cup featuring legendary sports commentator Andres Cantor. And in the spot, he's teaching America the only way to truly celebrate a World Cup goal. Mic drop. The FIFA World Cup in
That's a
Qatar
good one.
kicks
Good
off
one.
November 21st. You can catch the Spanish language broadcast. Be sure to tune in to Telemundo. Or, of course, you can check out the stream of the games on Peacock. And finally, Charlie Puth in his new Super Bowl spot. He's teaming up with Megan Thee Stallion for Frito-Lay's Flamin' Hot Cheetos and Doritos. And together, they make a wild pair. Take a look.
Nope.
How about that? That's cute. Charlie Puth.
Love it.
What's up, Charlie? Good morning, man. Spot looks great.
Morning, everybody.
Yeah, it's early. So you get the call for the Super Bowl spot. Megan Thee Stallion's going to play a bird singing Push It. What were you thinking?
I was thinking how appropriate it is for you to be a part of this. Frito-Lay reached out to me. They wanted me to I've never done voiceover work before, and I was a little nervous, and they were like, just be yourself, just do your little beatbox thing. So it's super easy.
That's super fun. You're known for your collaborations. You've worked with so many artists. Did this open up a door for maybe you and Megan getting together in the studio?
Megan's so talented. Yeah, I would like to hear Megan do more R&B leaning type stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help with that.
You know what, Charlie? It's interesting. We were talking to your very close friend, Sir Elton John. The Lockdown Sessions was a great record that came out, and he tells this great story about going to your house and going to the home studio and how you guys just really hit it off. Tell me a little bit about your relationship.
It's outlandish because I found out that I'm next door neighbors with Elton John without revealing our address. That would be bad to do on the Today Show. But when he sent me the address originally to pick him up, it was walking distance. So that was an easy trip.
Well, it's a pretty cool thing. We're looking forward to your record, Charlie, coming out, Light Switch. You've documented everything on TikTok, so we're going to be checking that out soon, and we'll be watching for the Super Bowl ad, buddy. Thanks so much for getting up. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
And now the reason we call the show Popstar Plus, a few extra headlines. And first up, and just like that, if you just can't get enough of the latest chapter in the Sex and the City series, you are in luck. HBO Max is releasing a documentary on the making of Sarah Jessica Parker's new show. And behind the scenes, film's going to take a look at what it was like expanding the cast, crafting the scripts, and of course, all the fashion.
Now for 4 months.
What? Oh, action. Wow. Oh.
Tomorrow we have the very first scenes in the show.
Even 23 years in, I'm excited. Terrified and excited.
It's unbelievable. It's a big deal.
I know, I'm panicked.
I knew Cynthia was a director because I'd seen plays that she's done.
Cut.
She knows us so well, and she knows acting so brilliantly.
It's everything. We're here, and it's a testament to these 3 actresses.
And just like that, the documentary, that's going to start streaming on February 3rd. And finally, Encanto. Well, it seems like everybody is talking about this one. From the movie's hit soundtrack, We Don't Talk About Bruno is an absolute certified hit. The track just spent its 3rd week at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and has officially tied for all-time highest charting song from a Disney animated movie. We Don't Talk About Bruno shares that top spot with Aladdin's A Whole New World, and it flies past Frozen's Let It Go. So kudos to Lin-Manuel Miranda and the amazing cast of Encanto. That soundtrack is on full repeat in Daily House. And those are today's Popstar Plus headlines. Coming up, Olympic legend Shaun White tells us what he's been listening to as he prepares for the Winter Games.
I believe every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States wins gold! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. News is happening now. Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
Tonight, the major announcement of the COVID vaccine.
And this is a significant moment.
Your news, whenever it happens, wherever you are, it's here now.
These days, the news never stops. The morning's headlines change by afternoon, and by the end of the day, it's all totally different. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. I get it. I know that it can be hard to keep up. So let's get started together and go from there.
Hey, I'm Hallie Jackson, and we have a ton going on tonight. Here's the deal.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
And welcome back to Popstar Plus. The Winter Olympics begin in just 2 days. And ahead of the action, we were lucky enough to sit down with the most popular snowboarder on the planet, 3-time gold medalist Shaun White. And he gave us some answers to the most Googled questions about his sport and who he thinks are the top athletes to watch.
I would hope I'm one of the top snowboarders you'd want to tune in to see. There's an amazing Australian snowboarder named Scotty James. He'll be one to watch. Amazing Japanese snowboarders, one named Ayumu and then another one named Yuto. And so the 4 of us will be the ones really kind of battling it out, I think, at this next Olympics. And then on the women's side, definitely for the USA would be Chloe Kim, will be defending her title. So really awesome riders. Toby Miller, really amazing kid. And I invited him to come sit on some of the sessions I was doing. And then as he got older, he kind of joined the circuit. And we had a relationship from before when he was really young and his parents were there with him. And so we kind of took him under our wing, my coach and I. And it's just so amazing to see him now at that level where he's, potentially going to make the team. So I'm pulling for him and going to be hopefully side by side with him, trying to help him achieve that. Snowboarders wear backpacks because they have to have a lot of equipment with them. It's like survival gear. And you usually have a shovel and you have a probe. And the probe is if somebody gets caught in an avalanche, you then take this probe and stick it down through the snow to see if you feel a human being under the snow. And then usually you want a snack or something else, water, probably some warmer gloves, things like that. No, I have never, I'm gonna knock on wood here. I've never been in a situation where I've needed it. I've definitely known people that have been very thankful that they had that equipment with them. It's kind of mandatory when you go out into the uncharted areas. It's kind of like wearing your seatbelt in the car. You hope you never have to use it, but you got it. I think it's something where, you're going down the run and it's hard to kind of just teeter on one edge. You're kind of waiting for somebody to catch up or you're trying to figure out where to go next. It's like a bicycle pulling up at a light and you take a foot off and you put it on the ground rather than just kind of sitting there trying to balance. But it's frustrating because it gets cold and your hands get wet. And I try to stand as much as I can. Plus we don't have poles, so we can't lean. Obviously I picked it up quickly as a kid, but I'd say no, it's just different. Maybe skiing is slightly easier just because we walk this way. Cool, go forward, and this is backwards, and I kind of understand this. And your feet aren't stuck together, so it's kind of like you can walk and you can kind of do natural motions that you're used to. Where snowboarding, you're kind of locked in, and learning the edges and things like that is kind of difficult in the beginning. But I will say that with snowboarding, later on, you'll realize that without the extra equipment of the poles and ski boots, personally, I think are very uncomfortable. The boots in snowboarding, they're warm, they're comfortable, less equipment, and something about like the flow of, carving down the mountain when you don't have all that stuff is just incredible. And I can only say this because I skied actually in the beginning when I was 4 until I switched to snowboarding around like 7 or so. It's kind of like what people do first as well, and then they kind of like, do I really want to start from the beginning again and learn something brand new, or do I just stick to what I know? So I would say that's why the introduction to skiing is a bit easier. I do, but I play it through my phone speakers and I just put my phone in my chest pocket. I know a ton of people that listen to music in headphones. I like a lot of oldies and things, and then newer bands like rock stuff. I like Black Keys and Tame Impala. It's kind of like what song you can hear but not focused too much on, and then you need something that's kind of like got some push to it. I'm an avid guitar player. I pick like rock heavy songs. It's good to have a song because usually, you're kind of like the horse in the start gate. You hear the pistol go, or you hear that song and it clicks back into this situation, or something that you would work out to is great. Oh, I know this is when I got to put in the hard work, or this is going to set the stage for what I'm about to do. So I think it's a really powerful thing, music, especially it's like the soundtrack to your life at that point. You're like, what is this moment? Is this nervousness I feel inside? Or that song kicks on, you go, oh wow, that those nerves turn into like, maybe this is my day, maybe this is my moment, like my song is playing, like I'm ready. It's pretty great.
Of course, we're going to be rooting for Sean and all of the rest of Team USA. Coming up next, we're diving into 40 years of late night.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya.
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya.
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
Well, it's hard to believe. It's been 40 years since David Letterman hosted the very first late night right here on NBC. And one of the show's big fans and a former guest on it, I'll have you know, Harry Smith, has a look back at what made that show so special.
Can't believe it, but 40 years ago today, a little show called Late Night with David Letterman premiered right here on NBC.
In its original 11-year run, Late Night racked up 5 Emmys, a Peabody, and a fandom that embraced the weird, sarcastic, and crazy comedy that brought Letterman to it.
One of those fans also happens to be a former guest on that show, our very own Harry Smith. Harry, where are you, buddy?
So, fans of the show will recognize the idea of someone hanging out a window, say a second-story window, maybe even a little higher on the top of a building and holding something, I don't know, like a watermelon or a cake. So we hope sufficiently jogged your memory because something really special is coming up. But in the meantime, a little traipse down memory lane with David Letterman.
David Letterman!
First off, we fans never knew there was a show called Late Night.
Welcome to our show. It's Late Night, and
40 years ago, we knew it as and called it Letterman.
And the number one shocking revelation about Mick Jagger, once slept with Robert Redford for free.
And we talked about it constantly. Like, did you see Letterman last night?
Ignition. It appears that David Letterman has come out of that mist.
this is the stupidest thing I've ever witnessed network money spent on. And frankly, I'm proud to be a part of it.
As a talk show, it was conventional, only in that it had a desk and a host and a band. It was irreverent.
Hey, shut up!
Often silly, sometimes sardonic.
We didn't really plan today's show. But that doesn't mean it still can't be fun.
This is the General Electric building, and, you know, I have a little gift, and we thought, what the heck, let's just drop in and
always in on its own jokes.
You mean we need authorization to drop off a fruit basket? To drop off a fruit basket?
Yes, you need authorization.
Oh, this is going to be fun to work with these people, isn't it?
Steve O'Donnell was Letterman's head writer for 10 years.
So bring me to the day-to-day. You become head writer of this show. It's Monday morning. You're in the writer's room. And what's it like in there?
The experience of putting on a late-night comedy show was like simultaneously putting out a small-town newspaper and organizing every single day a small-town parade. Because there were various...
And while David Letterman didn't exactly invent irony, he and his writers conspired to make it a kind of comedy we couldn't get enough of.
Like, so what, like 2 of them toasted.
There was a little freedom to experiment. In one way, the pressure was on to do an interesting show, but there was also like, no one's watching, so we could do the most strange, surreal things we could.
Until Letterman, the laws of late night consisted of a monologue, host laughing at guest stories, and maybe a song. It was not this. Or this.
There's very little I can do from this position.
And then there was Larry Bud Melman.
Good night, everybody.
Neither fish nor fowl,
Well, why don't you crawl on the bed then and take a nap?
but more of a befuddled foil,
Sleep tight.
a frequent comic non sequitur,
I hope it didn't hurt your glasses.
played by the late Calvert DeForest. The Letterman regulars were often within reach. Bob Costas, Marv Albert, and yes, Al Roker.
What's this? I think you ought to think about having that biopsy.
The Letterman owes some debt to TV pioneers Steve Allen and Ernie Kovacs. Letterman boldly discarded the norms, besmirched the bean counters, and glorified in the dumb.
Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Harry Smith. Harry, come on.
Guests like this reporter feared we'd not be able to roll with him.
I think, oh no, we made fun of you. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. You were nice to her and you were.
Yeah, that's how that works. And tonight we'll make fun of her and be nice to you.
And sometimes there was an uncomfortable Dave-guest dynamic.
I thought that I would never want to do this show with you.
Now why? Because you thought I was
David Letterman did not break the mold. He melded it to fit his vision. And a big part of watching the show was watching Dave enjoy what he had wrought.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have the cake, and just in case you don't remember, just roll this tape. Take a look at this for a second. Yeah, lots of cakes, lots of stuff. Flying.
Okay, sure. Happy birthday.
Right?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Just cuz?
All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so here we go, kids. Bob, you want to zoom in on this? See, it says, happy 40th anniversary, late night.
Nice.
And of the things that I've done on live television over 40 years or so, in the words of David Letterman, this may be about the most lame, but are you ready?
Yeah, okay.
It's a good tribute.
We're going to try this. Here we go. There you have it.
Nice fitting tribute there.
Thank you, Harry.
Mr.
Whose house is
Roker,
that?
frequent guest on Letterman.
We do what we can.
Some good look backs there. Classic Letterman moments. We want to mention David Letterman himself is tonight's special guest on Late Night with Seth Meyers. Looking forward to that one. Coming up here on Popstar Plus, a throwback with the lovely Blythe Danner.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Blythe Danner is turning 79 this week, and in honor, we're heading into the vault. We've got a moment from 1990 where she brought up her daughter and, of course, friend of today, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Blythe Danner won the Tony Award for her rapturous Broadway performance in Butterflies Are Free. She's been acclaimed again and again for her portrayals in television dramas. And she achieved a kind of motion picture immortality as the wife of Robert Duvall and the mother of Michael O'Keefe in The Great Santini, with its unforgettable scenes of a family in crisis. Opening in the coming months, Blythe Danner in 3 big movies that people are sure to be talking about. You're a very busy young woman.
Hi, Jean. Young woman, thank you.
Yes. Gets you in a good mood, friend.
Yes, I've been dancing all over the country this year.
You've been in 3 big movies that are not out yet.
Yeah.
One is Mr. and Mrs. Bridge with Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. Tell me about that
Woodward's
picture.
The Newmans. It's a wonderful, it's adapted from 2 novels that were combined to one, Mr. Bridge, Mrs. Bridge, by Evan Canal, which I guess is considered a cult classic, C-U-L-T. He's a wonderful writer, and I had known about it before this movie, but it really is sort of about the social mores of the 1940s in the Midwest. It's a very interesting story.
What are they, sort of middle-class country club set people?
Yeah, that's better. You said it better than I did.
And it was shot, some of it in Kansas City, wasn't it?
It was all shot in, at least though the part I was in was in Kansas City.
Are you a nice person in this movie, Blythe?
I play an interesting person who actually is the only person who really sees it all kind of clearly, sees this life and tries to escape it, and she does, but I won't tell you how.
Okay.
She's kind of...
Then from there you went, obviously, to New York, because Woody Allen directed, and he doesn't usually travel far afield.
No, he doesn't like to go.
So you're
home.
in the new, untitled Woody Allen movie.
Yes, untitled. I don't know how long it will remain untitled, but it's untitled. I play Mia's sister.
Mia Farrow's sister?
Yes, Mia Farrow's sister. That was fun. I just sort of danced in and out of these. You know, there were nice small parts, good parts, but small parts. So allowed me to be home a lot, which was good too.
Then you were in the Carolinas doing a movie with Barbra Streisand.
Yes, very dear to my heart because, you know, it's another Pat Conroy novel, and having done The Great Santini and going back to that place, Beaufort, South Carolina, which is the love of my life. If I ever retire, that's where I'm going. And all my friends down there, you know, these marvelous people. So I was able to go, I was dying for that part because I wanted to go back and see everybody. And it was also very nice to be in the movie. It was great. Barbara was fantastic. You know, I thought she might be a prima donna, but she was anything but. I mean, she's directing, she's producing, she's starring in it. And I think she must get about 5 hours sleep a night.
I think she's a good director. She directed Yentl, and I thought that was excellent.
Wonderful, yeah. Also, the fact that she's an actor makes it very... she knows what actors go through and all their insecurities and frailties and insanity. So she's very understanding and very good about that. And yet she's very, very direct. She's good.
I'm really glad you set the record straight about her for this moment at any rate, because people do have a very weird impression of Barbra Streisand as some kind of a witch tyrant who comes on a set on a broom or something. I think she's a wonderful person.
I think, you know, because she's so direct, she's a woman, she's direct, she's tough, and that she knows exactly what she wants, and she works very hard. But that's what it's about, you know. I mean, you want to work hard.
What is Nick Nolte's role in the movie?
Nick Nolte plays the football coach who drives the film, really, I'm married to Nick Nolte, and he has an affair with Barbra Streisand, who is the psychiatrist of his sister.
You stay with
him? I'm not going to tell you that.
Would you stay in real life?
With Nick Nolte?
No, I think you might. You have a very busy family. Not only are you a successful actress, and you have 2 wonderful children, Jake and Gwyneth, and you have a very successful husband, Bruce Paltrow, who created, produced Say It Elsewhere.
Yes, he was the executive producer, he was the creator.
Now, he works primarily in Hollywood, and you're making movies in New York, in Kansas City, in Beaufort, South Carolina. You have 2 children in their early teens. Now, how do you become a mother and actress and do all this?
Oh, don't ask me, Gene.
I am asking you.
If only I knew. You just do it. You go day to day and you try to do the best you can, you know? So I know I sound like I never stop, but I do, honestly.
Well, anybody who doesn't know the work of Blythe Danner will have plenty of chance to see her in many, many roles in the coming months, that's clear. Thank you very much. You're a terrific lady.
Thanks, Gene. Can I have your hat?
After I'm done with it.
Okay.
And a happy early birthday to you, Blythe. Thanks for watching, everybody. That is Popstar Plus. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a great day.
It is a big anniversary. real big. 70 years, you get a big statue.
Very first, good morning.
Morning's top news.
First, here's the news.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Today on.
Welcome to Today on.
In your neck of the woods.
Happy birthday.
Recorded in the history books. It's hard to open.
You know what? When you sit with that and think this program has been on the air for 70 years, older than all of us, really, it just kind of blows your mind. And it also makes you feel kind of small in its shadow.
Cuba tonight is an island in revolt.
The nation and the world today mourn the 46-year-old chief executive.
These are the honor guards of President Kennedy.
Dr. Martin Luther King died violently last night in Memphis, Tennessee.
The Vietnam War will continue.
Hell no, we won't go.
The biggest White House scandal in a century.
Well, I'm not a crook. No justice, no peace.
Violence erupted after the acquittal of 4 white policemen in the beating trial of black motorist Rodney King, and it went on through the night. A Thursday morning that finds this country at war with Iraq.
The tsunami was spawned by a magnitude 9 quake off the coast of Indonesia.
Help me, please, kid. Please.
One of the darkest days in American history, the U.S. Capitol under siege, stormed by an angry mob of Trump supporters.
Welcome, I'm Bryant Gumbel.
The Today Show was always on in my house growing up.
We're going to be talking with the man who holds the second highest office in the land. He is, of course, Vice President George Bush.
And every morning, I got ready to go to school watching Bryant interview newsmakers and presidents and heads of states and athletes and actors.
And when the Today Show went on the air, TVs weren't being turned on. If you turned on your TV, you got, that was it. And there was a test pattern. So, Pat Weaver, the president of NBC, says, you know what? People get up. They want to turn their TVs on. They got this new box sitting in their living room. Let's give them something to watch. And they started the Today Show. And look, a lot of folks thought, you're nuts. This is crazy.
Well, here we are. And good morning to you. The very first good morning of what I hope and suspect will be a great many good mornings between you and I. Here it is, Jack said, January 14th, 1952, when NBC begins a new program called Today.
Historically, for 70 years, going back to Dave Garroway, was you never felt like you were being talked at. It was more like a friend or a family.
It's a part of a television show that tries not only to fill in the world on the news every morning, but to be kind of a friend in the house.
Morning, all. I'm Tom Brokaw here with Jane Pauley. Good morning. And the newest member, Old Uncle Willard.
I think the secret sauce, to me, and why this show has lasted 70 years, is it's simple. It's the simplest thing of all. It's good company. We'll sit with you. Sure. You having breakfast? Okay. Having a crummy morning? We're here. Having the best morning of your life? We're still here. Your kid's not eating his Cheerios? We're here. Kids are late to school? We get it. I think it's just good company. And I think that people like that. I like good company. And I feel like that's something that we have provided, I'm saying, the Today Show family for 70 years. You sit with us and we'll start your day off okay. So happy that you are joining us on this Tuesday morning.
I think this show has so much ambition because the idea was always to be news first, to set the agenda, to set the table, to inform viewers, but also do it with this beautiful mix of lightness and humor and joy, a little weather, a little celebrity, a little razzle-dazzle, but always, first and foremost, the news. What do people need to know to start their days?
Savannah, Hoda, good morning to both of you. We are in Lafayette Park. We are, as you can see behind me, just steps away from the White House. This is the same spot where I stood last night as violence erupted. I think when the Today Show is at its best is when something has happened, either late at night or overnight, and we are there, 7 o'clock Eastern, giving you a front row seat to whatever that is. See that fire that's been set just in front of the White House outside Lafayette Park. I remember when I was growing up, the first time I marveled at how impressive it was. It was 1995. It was the Oklahoma City bombing.
Good morning. You're looking at a live picture of what's left of the federal building in Oklahoma City. the site of the worst terrorist bombing to ever hit the United States.
I was a teenager and I woke up that morning and there was Bryant Gumbel in front of that hollowed out building.
You can see the federal building right behind me, or what's left of it, 9 stories with a hole blown in the north wall.
And I remember thinking even then, wow, that's pretty impressive. And we still do it. When disaster strikes, we're there first thing in the morning. When something amazing happens, when there's some sort of like great inspiration, when the Chilean miners were hoisted to safety, we're right there.
A lot of excitement, a lot of emotion here as the rescues are now continuing ahead of schedule. The 11th miner to be brought out, Jorge Galleguillos, as you see there with that newly grown beard. He was the 11th, as I said, to be rescued.
When I'm headed out in the middle of the night sometimes to breaking news for the show, in my mind, I'm thinking, I've got millions of people who need me to get this right.
Savannah, good morning to you again. Derek Chauvin waking up at a correctional facility about 30 minutes from where I'm standing right now. A moment 11 long months in the making for George Floyd's family.
Whether it's a riot, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's Notre Dame on fire.
Now it's become a bit of a solemn spectacle. Folks still stopping, all of them looking up, wondering how long is it going to take to rebuild Notre Dame?
There are people who are going to wake up at 7 o'clock and who are going to be looking to me to tell them what happened and to get it right.
Breaking news on a Tuesday morning. I remember covering the Boston Marathon attack, and that was really early on at my time in the Today Show. And we are learning more about the dual explosions that rocked the Boston Marathon. Breaking news out of Boston. Here is what we know right now. We were on the air 7 straight hours live, and it was me alone. Alone on the set, but not alone, because I had our incredible producers and crews and correspondents. But I remember thinking in that moment, oh wow, I have to get this right. There's no time for sloppiness or error.
I think here's the truth of it. When there's a breaking news story, it is everywhere. So then you have a choice to make. Where am I going to find it? Where do I want to receive it? Where's my place where I can receive it with sort of gentle hands? Here it is, and I think that that's why the show stands out, because you can certainly get news anywhere you want, at any time you want, but it's not always that you get to sit with someone you're comfortable with. I'd rather someone I love tell me, hey, this is what went down. It's not great, but here's what happened.
We are upstairs on a balcony roof right now.
We not only come in with breaking news, but we contextualize it. We make it more palatable in a sense, because we're going through it with you. I mean, I can't think of a more sacred moment than the morning of 9/11. I remember saying on the air, it's a perfect day, it's a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky.
Beautiful morning here in the Northeast. Let's check the rest of your weather, show you what's going on for today.
Nobody had any idea, not just this city would be changed forever, this country, this world was changed forever.
We have a breaking news story to tell you about. Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City. It happened just a few moments ago, apparently. We have very little information available at this point in time.
And at that moment, I think we were all one, not just us in the studio, but everybody watching at home. We were trying to comfort each other, and it was a two-way street.
Of course, we'll let people know as soon as we have more information as to what actually caused this, and of course, on everybody's mind, who might have been hurt as a result of this terrible, terrible incident.
And on that day, I could not have been prouder to have been part of this show.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Since President Harry Truman, the Today Show has been holding politicians' feet to the fire.
Over the years, politicians have loved to come to the Today Show because we do have that collegiality and it's a great audience, and politicians want to reach that audience. But if they come to the Today Show, they can expect a hard question.
Well, let's talk about that third person, Ross Perot.
I told you I was going to be here for 30 seconds.
Well, I know, but aren't I great? I'm one of these less contentious reporters who can convince you to stick around and talk with me.
And sometimes maybe harder than they anticipated.
I hear a lot that you are sometimes slow to react. Are you the leader of the opposition in exile right now in the Republican Party?
Do you get how bad it looks? I have the transcript of the call. Do you think this was a perfect call?
Have you known that he is a liar, as you say?
Well, absolutely.
Why did you work for him?
Savannah, slow down.
And when I think about what to ask, I'm thinking about what people at home are wondering. I'm thinking about the question that maybe the politician doesn't want to answer, but people at home really want to know. And I think that's our role. You know, I interviewed President Obama at the White House.
If this resolution fails in Congress, would you act without Congress? The answer could be yes, no, or I haven't decided.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that I haven't decided.
Welcome, Mr. President, and thank you for being here.
That was very well stated, I have to say.
I did the town hall with President Trump just weeks before the election. So the stakes were really high. We were in the middle of a pandemic and the election was weeks away and it was controversial.
That was a retweet. People can decide for themselves.
I don't
take
the
a
president.
position.
You're not like someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever.
That was a retweet.
I have a pretty little colon. That's it?
We're up to the top, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll stay up there a little longer. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The Today Show has a long history of sparking conversations about subjects people usually don't like to talk about, and almost never on TV.
We lost Frank. I want to thank everybody for your love.
I'll tell you when I realized the possibilities of the platform. A couple years ago, my older brother was diagnosed with colon cancer, late stage, and I went to the powers that be and I said, you know, I think we can do some good here. And we profiled him and his treatment and his doctor and just colon cancer in general. We decided to shine a light on it. And he ultimately, you know, he didn't make it, he died. And during the course of that, during the course of the coverage, because we did a number of follow-up stories as well on colon cancer, not an exaggeration, hundreds of people, I heard from them, whether it's email or on the streets or on the plaza, they would say, hey, I got screened because I saw your story on your brother, or I made my husband get screened, or I called my doctor because something wasn't right and I saw your story and I started asking about family history. That's when I realized.
Cleveland Cavaliers forward Kevin Love details his bout with a very public panic attack.
I was diagnosed with GAD, general anxiety disorder, and mild panic, very similar to what Kevin Love was talking about there.
During the piece, as he was describing his panic attack, I was saying to Craig Melvin, my colleague, oh my God, this has happened to me a million times. And he was like, what, really? He's like, can I ask you about that? And so when we came out of the piece, I first started sharing that I was had been diagnosed for GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, and panic attacks. You feel like you're dying. In fact, I went to the hospital, and the first thing you put it on, I got leads on my chest. I'm like, my heart's going to stop, or I'm gonna have a heart attack. And of course, what happens is you're perfectly fine. From that moment on, it's become something that I've really tried to take ownership of here at the Today Show and NBC News to help create that conversation around mental health and help break the stigma of talking about mental health and bringing the stats to life. And I'm somebody that has suffered in silence, and there's so many millions of us that do. And I'm really proud of that, the part that I've been able to just kind of share what's worked for me and my struggles, and in turn it's hopefully helped other people share their story. And that's really what's so important with mental health, is to get that conversation going.
I do have something to tell you. That little girl, Haley Joy,
yes,
I'm crying. Is my daughter.
Wow! Congratulations! Oh my gosh!
I adopted her.
And I think no matter what the experience is, whether it's breast cancer or adoption or, getting engaged later in life, whatever it is, I feel like sometimes if I get hope from people who do things that I feel like are difficult at the time. And so I don't know what I'm providing except for just, kind of telling my business.
These days, the news never stops. The morning's headlines change by afternoon, and by the end of the day, it's all totally different. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. I get it. I know that it can be hard to keep up. So let's get started together and go from there.
Hey, I'm Hallie Jackson, and we have a ton going on tonight. Here's the deal.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
These days, the news never stops. The morning's headlines change by afternoon, and by the end of the day, it's all totally different. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. I get it. I know that it can be hard to keep up. So let's get started together and go from there.
Hey, I'm Hallie Jackson, and we have a ton going on tonight. Here's the deal.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last one.
Was talking smack part of this?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world, because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Some of my favorite moments on the Today Show had me going places I never really thought I would see, or not the way I got to see them through the show. I got to go visit the Holy Land.
And when we walk through these doors, we're going to see Calvary.
On the right, we're going to see Calvary itself.
Calvary is where Jesus was crucified, now located inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
I knew I always wanted to visit Israel, to go with the Today Show and have access to the places, the wisdom of experts. It was a phenomenal professional experience, but it was also a deeply personal and spiritual experience.
And good morning from the Sydney Opera House in Sydney, Australia.
I went to Australia, which actually is the place I was born, but I had no memory of it. And all my life, Australia held this kind of mystical quality, this other land. And not only did I get to visit the house where I lived when I was a newborn baby, we found the hospital where I was born, we found the room where I was born, and they even found the midwives from that era who basically delivered me.
This is the room that you took your first breath in.
Oh my God.
How does that feel?
Oh my God.
much. I think seeing the very place you were born is not something most people get to do or
That's
see.
true.
To get to go back with my mom, it's just really special.
Special time. Amazingly awesome.
And to top it all off, to be in the place where it all began for us, to be in the room where it all began for us is a memory I will treasure.
Love you. We love you.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
Tonight, the major announcement of the COVID vaccine.
And this is a significant moment.
Your news, whenever it happens, wherever you are, it's here now.
In the City of Angels, two kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. The United Shutdown of America.
Look, the pandemic, we were just like everybody else. We were working from home, or we were living at work. I can't figure out which one it was, but we were separated from each other. And you don't realize how much you feed off of each other.
It's a little funky looking at this 3-box, but I'm happy to be sitting in between you guys.
I think what connected us was this common mission, this feeling that these are serious times. People are terrified. We have the opportunity to ask the questions of these doctors and experts and public health officials.
Joining us now from Washington, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Look who it is!
Get set, go!
Slow-mo run shot. Are we allowed to hug? It's Al Roker!
Oh, yes, yes!
Also, when we got back together and we got to see each other again for the first time, when we got to sit next to each other for the first time, when we got to hug each other, we'll never take that for granted again.
I didn't fully appreciate how much we were a part of people's lives during the pandemic until folks started returning to the plaza. And you would get like teachers and nurses especially who would say, Craig, thank you. Thank you for helping us get through the pandemic. And I was like, and at first I was like, what do you mean? You mean like the doctors who would, no. Like, it was heavy, it was hard. And we would turn on the Today Show in the morning because we knew we'd get the information that we needed, but we also knew that we would laugh and we would smile with you guys.
Today Show viewers come here every single day to propose, to wave to friends and family, to hold up signs, to share messages, to be with us. And that is a huge, huge part of the recipe of success for the show for 70 years. Like, we can't do this without the people who come down here to the plaza and our viewers nationwide.
The show really first got going, it was in a window on that same side of the street on 49th Street, and everybody would stop by. It was like we had taken the beauty and the majesty and the mystery of television. Because you got to remember, again, back at that time, people would literally stand in front of appliance stores and watch TV through the glass. Well, now they could come and watch TV through the glass, and the TV was watching them.
Well, part of our cast is you the public at least. See, we're in a big glassed-in kind of fishbowl here. We can look out the window, as you see, and see the people who are looking in at us anytime. And we see all sorts of fascinating folks from home out there, and sometimes they stand out there and look at us and wave at the folks back home.
Here we are, TikTok, the interweb, the Twitter, all that stuff. But you know what? People still like to be seen on TV to the folks back home. There's the beauty of it. In 1952, people were waving and the TV camera was panning them. And here we are in the 21st century, and people are still waving and holding up signs and hoping that somebody back home sees them. How great is that?
The audience is the heart of this show, whether they're at home or whether they're in our plaza or whether they're peeking through our window. The audience is the beating heart of this show. It's literally why we get up in the morning. People have made the Today Show part of their mornings and part of their lives and part of their families for decades. You'll meet people who say, my grandma watched the Today Show, my mom watched the Today Show, now I watch the Today Show, my kids watch it with me. People who watch the Today Show feel like they're family, and guess what? We feel like your family too.
I've always felt like an audience member, because that's what I feel like I am a lot of the time. Like when I walk out, I think I would be doing that. I would be coming to 30 Rock. I'd hold up a sign. I know my mom would. She'd be out there with a sign. So I think when you look out and you see like bright shining faces of people who've waited, you know, for this magical moment, it's so like incredibly satisfying and beautiful to share in it. Like that's what I feel like when I walk out. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to find out like who's here.
So what brings you to the Today Show?
Well, I mean, we've always wanted to do this, and Today's Show is a part of our life.
We've been watching it every day for 7 years when we met, so from a boat.
Yeah.
Super fans.
Well, good morning, Barbara.
Barbara Walters, the Jane Pauleys, the Katies, the Merediths, they blew the doors open. And then me and Savannah just strolled through. We're like, hey, thanks.
We are kicking off the year right because Hoda is officially the co-anchor of Today. Hoda, you are a partner and a friend and a sister, and I am so happy to be doing this.
Well, there's no one I'd rather be sitting next to in 2018. A woman stopped me with her child, and she said, thank you, because now my daughter thinks this is totally normal.
To me, the Today Show is the gold standard. The producers, the crew, the staff, everyone who puts this show together, far more than the people you see on TV, they are the best of the best, and they pour themselves into it every day and every night. People tune in because they know what they're going to see is reliable, it's accurate, it's well produced, it's curated, it's important. We won't waste your time. And I think that's why the show continues to be relevant. It's that, and then it's also that hopefully people feel a connection and feel a bond with the people on set who are sharing the news with them. I mean, in a way, I feel like it's different than some anchorman voice of God telling you what's going on in the world. I feel like we are coming on together and we are informing but also processing the news with our viewers. And there's a connection there. And to me, that has stood the test of time and is what will continue to stand the test of time.
People have tuned in, and the people who brought them that news will have changed. But the mission hasn't, to find out that the world is still there and get them ready for their day.
Here's the thing about life, okay, for all of us. Every single working environment, family, group, has days that it's bright and shiny, and there's nothing better. And we also have days when we're on our knees. And that's the way life goes. That's the way it goes. And you just ride the waves, and I feel like that's how you have to navigate just life in general. And we navigate it at work. Some days are the best day ever, and some days you wonder, like, what in the heck's going on? But no matter what, you adjust your sails and you go. Because we got a long road. We're only 70? I mean, like, we're babies, you know, goo. We got a long way to go.
I think Dave Garroway and everyone that started this little project in black and white would be astonished and amazed, and I hope they'd be proud.
Thank you. Goodbye until tomorrow morning. Peace.
I love the city of Baltimore. I've been coming here for years, and if there's one thing I know, the city of Baltimore is serious about his crab.
I love Baltimore Crabs.
This is the stomping ground of crabs.
And I've been eating crabs since the time I could sit up at a table.
It's a little spicy, salty, and savory, all in one.
If I could describe the taste, you can't. You just have to try it. You just have to try it.
It's time to head out of Studio 1A and hit the road for a new kind of culinary adventure. Follow me as I taste some of the most iconic foods around the country and meet the families behind them. Together, we're going to learn how a good meal has the power to connect us to our past, our future, and each other. When you think Maryland, you gotta think blue crab, an essential part of the state's culture and cuisine. And no place knows how to cook it up quite like Baltimore. I mean, just as many ways as you can count, you can find ways to eat crab. Of course, there's your basic, your steamed crab with the beautiful spices, and you just start whacking that bad boy. You can get all that beautiful meat out. You can get canned crab if you'd like. Of course, there's also the fabulous crab mac and cheese with a hot dog. There's the crab dip, there's your crab soup, and of course, the king of crab, the crab cake. Yes, but this is a cake that needs no icing. Crab cakes have been enjoyed by many for centuries throughout the Chesapeake region. But here in Baltimore, they're a way of life. And one of the city's most popular go-tos is tucked away just inside the world-famous Lexington Market.
We're headed back to Houston today, and we wanted to have the best crab cake in town.
We're from Orlando, glad to be here.
People have been coming to Faithley's for years.
Yes.
Ever since I was little, and I'm 25.
People from all around the world come here to Baltimore just to grab a bite of the famous Faithley's crab cake. It's made with fresh Maryland crab and family love. Everybody looks the same. How are you, my dear?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So good to see you.
How are you, sir? You looking good?
You're looking great. Got something for you.
All right. There you go.
There you go. You need one of those.
Oh, yeah.
There you are.
Now I'm feeling really crabby. Pardon me, I've got to get a lawyer because there's a clause I have to have checked. I've known the folks at Faithley's Seafood for years, but they've been serving up fresh crab cakes even longer.
Hi, I'm Nancy Faidley Devine. I own Faidley Seafood. It's been in my family now for, 4 generations, and the 5th is coming up, so we've been around a long time.
I think people are astonished to see my parents at 84 and 89 still working. You can get another 5 cans and do a second batch if you need to with them. People ask her for an autograph, they ask her for a picture, they ask her to hold their babies. You know, it's really fun.
I mean, here's this company that's been part of Baltimore for over 130 years.
Right.
What is it about your place that has people coming back?
Right. I think it's that people come in here and go right away. There's a warmth.
Uh-huh.
It's like walking to somebody's home they're happy to have you.
Uh-huh.
You know, come and you feel, oh my gosh, I feel at home. And I get people, we were here 20 years, it's exactly the same.
In fact, Faidley's still stands in its original location, founded here by John W. Faidley Sr. in 1886. Started off as a seafood stall, but over the generations grew into a Baltimore tradition, led by Bill and Nancy Devine, along with their daughter.
Damie Hahn, and I am the 4th generation of Faidley's, so I do everything. Give them a little bit of a smorgasbord of everything. Going over here to fillet a fish, over here to shuck an oyster, over there to steam a crab, back here to fry, up here to make a crab cake, back down on the phone, running in the shipping department. A tray like that is about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bushels of crabs in order to get that tray. That's a lot of picking. And I don't think people realize how much work goes into getting an all jumbo lump.
Growing up, did you think you were going to end up here? You were going to be doing this?
No, but it was hard to get away from, and I couldn't see it going away. I couldn't see it ending with my parents. So
the pandemic hit.
Yes.
You really had to step up.
My father called me and I said, Dad, you guys cannot come in here. You know, we don't know anything about this virus and the effects, especially on the elderly. And I know you want to be here, but you can't. And he said, Damien, do whatever you do, whatever you can to make payroll. It just makes me cry when I think about it. He said, just make sure that we don't have to lay anybody off. I don't want to lay anybody off. I don't want anybody to lose their job. And we did it.
And I saw it back when I came here in the 90s, and I still see it today. This truly is a family.
Oh, it is a family. And it's funny because I often tell people, Mom and Dad don't treat the employees any differently than they treat me. And that's the God's honest truth.
Which could be a good or a bad.
That's the God's honest truth. And that's why you end up having so many multi-generation families staying here.
That's right. Faidley's isn't just a family-owned business. It's run by family as well. Multiple generations of employees, father and daughter, father and son, mom and daughter, all building a home here.
I've been here since a junior in high school, so I've been doing the thing for a while. I'm gonna say it's been around 33, 34 years.
And I started in the 79, week before my son was born.
I started at 14 years old, and I'll be 42 years old in December.
It's always a challenge working with family. A lot of personalities, but you love each other and it always works, you know, it always works well.
What's really, really bad is when your kids are grandmothers.
Mom, we were in the middle of an interview. Oh, you just broke in.
You have to start over?
Yes.
You were saying about the challenges of working with family?
It's just a few of them, you know? Just a few.
While the family spirit makes customers feel at home, it's Faidley's crab cakes that keep them coming back.
What kind of oil do you cook your crab cakes in?
Soybean.
Soybean, thank you.
So excited to have this crab cake.
And I watch people for the first time put it in their mouth and they go, oh my God. And they're standing at a table in a market. Yeah. They're not sitting down to a white tablecloth and having somebody serve it on a silver platter. It's on a paper plate, but it belongs on a silver platter.
Nancy created her recipe in 1987, saying she's never changed it. So, besides yourself, how many other people know the Faidley's crab cake recipe?
Sleep with her, she won't tell me.
He doesn't even know how to make a cup of coffee. Why would I tell him?
So some people use breadcrumbs. You use crushed up saltines.
Broken saltines, yes. And not fine, because you have to use more. Now, so, and then this is the magic sauce.
Is this the secret sauce?
Yes.
So it's just enough to mix the ingredients together,
right.
Nothing more.
That's right.
And the big ball of crab right there.
That's it.
Boom. Oh, look at this. Oh, boy. Oh. It was just like I remember eating it 26 years ago.
You know what? I'm told that all the time when people come in here. The best part about this is you haven't changed a thing.
Now this is a legacy. Well, we know how the crabs end up, but how do they get them? Let's go find out. Coming up, the generations of black watermen who've made a living pulling in Maryland's most famous catch.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I believe. Every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States wins gold! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
I believe. Every dream, every journey, every triumph.
And it all starts here.
Let the celebration begin!
The excitement is in the air.
United States wins gold!
Is he superhuman?
Feel the magic every day.
She is a superstar, Kayla. We are cheering you on.
And share every moment with us at the Winter Olympics. Today is where the games begin.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Chesapeake Bay men and women who work these waters are probably just as famous as the legendary catch that they pull out. And in fact, it's back-breaking work that is passed on from generation to generation, including blackjacks. Those were the black watermen who worked these waters all the way back into the 1800s and are a vital part of this community. The Chesapeake Bay is home to a vast variety of seafood, but none as valuable or as well known as the blue crab. The catch here makes up over a third of the nation's supply, and on average, more than 50 million pounds of blue crabs are harvested from the bay.
I'm Captain Tyrone Meredith, charter boat captain, owner, and operator of the Island Queen II.
Captain Meredith knows these waters well. He grew up on them.
I'm the fourth generation waterman, and my great-grandfather, he worked on the water, my grandfather, and my father. We've been here ever since the 1860s, making a living, working on the Chesapeake Bay.
This has been the way of life for generations of watermen here in Kent Narrows, a town just 50 miles south of Baltimore. For hundreds of years, they've caught, processed, and sold blue crabs to markets up and down the eastern shore. By the mid to late 1800s, Kent Narrows had also become one of many unlikely havens on the bay for free and enslaved African Americans.
There was more black watermen anywhere on the whole East Coast, probably in the United States.
Those watermen, also known as blackjacks, forged their path to liberation on the water. Their expertise essential to the booming seafood industry. So much so, the government granted some black watermen Seamen's Protection Certificates, providing sailors with American citizenship and a path to economic freedom.
Hey, Lois, I'm coming up on you now. Okay, I got you. Yeah? How'd it biting today?
This morning it did pretty good. Well, being out here is your own boss. You do what you want to do and have nobody tell you, go get me this or go get me that.
75-year-old Lewis Carter still finds that same sense of freedom on the water today. He's also one of the last generations of black watermen alive. Every morning, before the sun rises, he sets out to catch crabs in the bay.
I started in 1961, I was about 15, and I've been at it ever since. Right now, I'm going down the line, and when I get to the other end, I'll throw it off. Crabs will come up on that bait. The pressure from the water pushes them back in this dipper. Okay, these are the big, large males. You put them in one basket. That's a female with red claws. Put them in one basket.
He's one of the last Mohegans left. There's not too many people that still make a living from the water. Most of them moved away, got other jobs, and it's changing because it's harder to make a living from the bay.
Crabbing season runs from spring into late fall, but changes in climate, cost, and labor have made each successive year more challenging. As younger generations take up new trades, there are less people working the waters and ultimately fewer black watermen.
Back when I started, it was a plenty black watermen, but they died out and the younger ones never taken their place. In one way, it makes me feel bad, you know, and I don't think it'll be no chance no more black watermen. I really do believe that.
Captain Meredith estimates there are fewer than a dozen black watermen on the bay. Like many of his peers, he's had to turn to other work.
Back when I was crabbing teenager, I caught high as 50 bushel a day. Right now, crabbers catching 2 or 3 bushel a day. Now I started running charters, fishing charters, because crabbing started declining and the fishing was more lucrative money-wise.
And educational. His charters are an opportunity to keep stories of the blackjacks alive for generations ahead. Although tradition on these waters is changing, one thing remains the same.
Nothing tastes like the Chesapeake Bay Maryland crab. It's got that certain taste to them, and it's the only place like that in the world is the Chesapeake Bay blue crab.
Next, an up-and-coming Baltimore chef inspired by his family's love of cooking.
I believe. Every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States, let's go!
Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community? Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last one.
Was talking smack part of this?
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
In the City of Angels, 2 kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
I believe. Every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States, let's go!
Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
Back in Baltimore, a new generation is putting a spin on the crab cake.
I'm Alex Perez. I'm the owner of Poppy Cuisine.
I'm an artist at heart, so cooking, the arts of culinary, that's something that I'm very passionate about. Not necessarily having a recipe to go off of, and just getting in the kitchen, freestyling, and coming up with a masterpiece.
It's that freestyling approach that brings people through these doors, clamoring for a taste.
Jumbo, crab, lobster.
Crab is king in Baltimore, so you're going to see crab cakes, crab cake fries, crab cake egg rolls. Everyone's been going crazy over it as well.
This is the bomb.
So I just come back for that, and I enjoy it every time I come here.
We actually live in D.C., so we rode all the way up here an hour just to come here.
Right now I'm drizzling our warhead and our aioli sauces on it. I have family from the Dominican Republic. I'm Afro-Latino. I'm Black on my mother's side. And pretty much has always had a love for food and cooking food, eating food. So learning how to cook from my dad. So my dad taught me how to cook at the age of 10. I grew up, watching my grandmother cook a lot as well. So I started pretty much combining the foods that I learned to cook from my grandmother with the foods I learned how to cook from my father. And that's kind of like how the whole Poppy cuisine, was born in her kitchen, essentially.
That was 8 years ago. While working a full-time job, Alex began building a new business on the side, catering food out of his grandma's kitchen. In February 2020, he was finally able to open a restaurant. Then, the pandemic hit.
Of course, a month later, we get the news that we had to shut down and only do takeout. So that just opened up the floodgates, essentially. And you had people standing in line, hundreds of people on the block in that mass, cars double parked up and down the streets. And it was mayhem.
During a global crisis, the city Alex was born and raised in rallied around him. Now, Poppy Cuisine is packed with locals and tourists alike. But the chef stays true to his roots, running it with close family and friends.
My little sister, Natasha.
Hi.
How's it going?
Natasha, my big bro, Alex.
I can employ family members, friends, and so forth, that people who I grew up with, people that I'm close to, and it's very rewarding,
Coming up, I'm going to grab my apron and join Alex and Grandma Gloria for a lesson in cooking crab.
These days, the news never stops. The morning's headlines change by afternoon, and by the end of the day, it's all totally different. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. I get it. I know that it can be hard to keep up. So let's get started together and go from there.
Hey, I'm Hallie Jackson, and we have a ton going on tonight. Here's the deal.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., a side of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last one.
Was talking smack part of this?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
I wanted to meet Alex and his grandma Gloria, the inspiration behind his cooking. So I dropped by their kitchen to say hello.
Well, I know I picked up from my grandmother, my mother-in-law, and just put my own spin on certain dishes. I didn't follow it to the recipe to the letter.
So you're able to ad-lib a little bit.
Yeah, but he's always asked me when I fix a dish, well, what did you put in this? How did you do this? And I would tell him, I said, you don't have to follow to the letter, put your own spin.
And Alex has done just that, turning the classic crab cake into an egg roll. Genius! The ingredients, simple. A pound of jumbo lump crab, panko breadcrumbs, aged cheddar cheese, egg roll wrappers, and a couple of sauces and microgreens to top it off. There's the star of the show, the crab meat. Put on an apron. I've got rubber gloves on. All right, patient's ready. So how do we get started, Alex?
Yeah, so first what you want to do is see, we have some Maryland jumbo lump crab here. So for the most part, it shouldn't have much shells in, but typically I like to sift through it. Just gotta see if there's any shells, and if so, you can put the shells right back in this container.
There you go. So Gloria, did you know you were helping raise a culinary genius?
Well, no, but I know he liked to eat.
This sauce in particular is our crab sauce mix. So we're gonna drizzle a little bit at a time, because I don't want to put too much, just enough to bind.
You got enough foul?
Yep, I think I'll have enough.
She's staying by me. I like this. I like this lady.
This is why I'm so particular about, when I'm doing things in the kitchen. Gonna start actually rolling these things up. Yes.
Why do you think this recipe is so popular at the restaurant, the most popular?
Well, I think because it pretty much gives you the ability to take a Baltimore favorite and make it handheld and on the go. It's throw in your hand
kind of
and
street
eat.
food.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons it's very popular, other than the taste as well.
Right. Well, there's
yeah, because that's
you can take it with you, but if it doesn't taste good,
exactly.
Come back for it.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take like a pinch of crab, something like a quarter cup or so. They're gonna sit in the middle.
That too much?
Yeah, we want to take a little bit out, a little pinch out. Actually, we want to put a little bit more in. Yeah.
Which is it?
All right, so that's perfect right there. That's perfect. And we're gonna literally fold them up envelope style.
What is it about cooking and family that is so important?
Yeah, I think for me, living a busy life as a business owner and a dad, a husband, things like that, I feel like food is an opportunity for family to come together, talk about things, especially if you haven't seen each other in a long time. And it's a way for us to connect. So, here you go.
Is it true you've never done this before?
No, I haven't. It's true.
Oh. Could have fooled me that you never did this before. Look at that. Bam! Done!
Faster than I did.
Wow! Wow! It's a natural grandma thing. Love it. So now we're going to get the deep fryer up here and fry these bad boys up.
Oh, absolutely.
Woo! If you had to describe the heart of your cuisine, what is it, and how does Baltimore kind of is part of that?
Pretty much my story, and I think that connects very well to our Baltimore, because I grew up here, all my life, and I think everything that I faced during the time that I started this company up until now, I've been transparent about, and it resonated very well with the people in Baltimore, and they watched my journey through the years, and I feel like that's really the heart of what I do.
Make sure
it's something crisp around the edges and things like that. So that's why I keep turning them, so it doesn't fry on one particular side too much. And just want to even fry.
Ooh.
Nice and golden.
So you want to cut these diagonally. So I'm going to drizzle. This is our aioli sauce, house made, and this is our warhead sauce right here. So the sauce is kind of sweet, has a tangy bite to it.
Yeah, kind of like Gloria.
Yep, that's right.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to do.
Yeah, and that's the piece.
Yes, yes. Crab cake egg roll.
Here we go.
Wow. Chef Alex, you have done Baltimore proud.
Thank you.
Our time here in Baltimore is coming to an end. We tried the traditional crab cake, tasted a modern spin with crab cake egg rolls, and even went straight to the source on the Chesapeake Bay. At the center of it all, one thing still ringing true: food tastes better when you eat it with family.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for Consumer Confidential. I'm Vicki Nguyen. Winter is officially here, and February, on average, is the snowiest month. For a lot of cities, this is the second coldest month of the year. For the next 25 minutes, we have your winter survival guide. If you've ever had to walk or drive in snow, you know winter presents unique challenges. Snow and ice can make getting around tricky and downright dangerous. So do you know how to maneuver in these slippery conditions? We head back to driver's ed for some potentially life-saving lessons. Winter sports can be fun, and with the right equipment and precautions, you can avoid a trip to the emergency room. And don't spend a fortune cranking up the heat. A look at the hacks and tips to keep costs down while staying warm. Plus, despite the cold temps, you can still find hot deals. But first, some tools and appliances you should have around the house for the winter months.
Freezing temperatures, snow and ice, all making for dangerous conditions during the winter.
What are the most common injuries when winter comes around?
And I'm in the emergency room in Colorado, where we typically see a lot of winter injuries. And probably the biggest one are people slipping and falling on ice.
In 2019 alone, fall-related injuries sent more than 8 million Americans to the emergency room.
They'll hurt their backs, they'll hurt their heads, they'll hurt their shoulders.
To avoid slipping and falling, make sure you have shoes with traction. If you have to brave the snow and ice, walk like a penguin. Slightly point your feet out and bend your knees, extend your arms out to your sides for balance, and take short steps or shuffle. Every year, snow shoveling causes thousands of injuries and about 100 deaths, most caused by heart attacks.
Something as simple as shoveling snow can actually be fairly dangerous.
It's a very, very strenuous workout. So even though they're feeling the symptoms, they're feeling chest pain, they're feeling shortness of breath, they have this goal of a driveway they want to clear, so they keep moving forward.
Symptoms of a heart attack can include chest discomfort, shortness of breath, even nausea. Besides taking frequent breaks, push the snow instead of lifting it. If you must lift, only partially fill the shovel so it's lighter. And remember to use your legs, not your back. Also, consider using an ergonomic shovel like this one to avoid back injuries. Snowblowers can save you time and energy when clearing snow, but they can also cost you a trip to the hospital. On average, nearly 6,000 injuries result from snowblowers each year. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, most snowblower injuries happen when someone tries to clear snow from the discharge chute. First, stop the engine. Use a long stick, not your hands, to unclog the machine. Add fuel when the engine is cold, and do it in a well-ventilated area outdoors. Remember, never run your snowblower in a shed or a garage because of carbon monoxide dangers. Known as the silent killer, every year carbon monoxide poisoning kills hundreds and sickens thousands more. A majority of the deaths occurring between November and February, when many use portable generators for warmth.
Your home can contain other potential sources for carbon monoxide, including a fireplace if it's not well ventilated and working properly. That's why you want to make sure you have enough of these carbon monoxide detectors installed throughout your house.
If you plan to use a space heater in your home, don't get burned.
As the name suggests, give the heater some space. Keep it at least 3 feet away from anything flammable like this dog bed, and always plug it directly into the wall, never a power strip.
And if you do have to brave the elements, make sure you dress in layers, and don't forget about your four-legged family members, especially if your dog has a short coat like Moose here. Get him a sweater or a parka, and don't forget the booties. It's a fetching and functional look. Booties protect your dog's paws from the cold, salt, and other irritants. But try telling that to Moose.
Good boy, it takes a little getting used to, huh? He kept the coat on, booties not so much. All right, joining us now with more on staying safe and healthy in this frigid weather, NBC News senior medical correspondent, Dr. John Torres, a favorite of our show. Hey, Dr. Torres, so good to see you. You're an ER doc in Colorado. You're no stranger to snowy weather. First, talk to us about what's the best way for us to dress in layers to stay warm without overheating.
Yeah, this is important because you want to make sure you stay warm, but if you get too warm, you can work with that as well. So you want to dress in 3 layers, basically. Number 1, the base layer underneath. You want something that's synthetic. It's a synthetic material that can wick away the moisture, and that way it doesn't build up and start freezing your body. The middle layer should provide some insulation. We're talking sweaters, sweatshirt, fleece. All those work really well for this type of thing. And then the outdoor layer is the one you want to block the wind and the rain. Now, all of these layers should be loose. That'll help trap in warm air wear, and they should be layers that you can take off and put back on depending on your body temperature, because you don't want to sweat in the middle of the winter. But also, don't forget socks, gloves, and hat. Extremely important, Vicki.
Yeah, walking my kids to school here in the Northeast, I know that when any part of your skin is exposed to the cold, it can be so painful. How do you know when it's serious, like if you have frostbite?
So one of the things you have to remember about frostbite is the areas that don't have much circulation are the ones that are going to be affected the most. And we have a little rhyme. It's fingers, nose, ears, and toes. Those are the ones that are going to get frostbitten first. So if you start getting pain, especially if it starts intensifying and you start getting that tingling pain, it starts getting worse, and especially if it starts going away, those are signs that you need to seek immediate medical attention. Now, if they're just tingling a little bit, you get back inside, you can put them in warm and not hot water. Think of the same water you give a baby a bath in, and that can bring the feeling back. But if that feeling gets super intense or suddenly goes away, you need to be checked, especially if you notice any blistering, Vicki.
Oh, fingers, ears, nose, and toes. Got it. All right, what about hypothermia? What are the warning signs and symptoms for that?
So hypothermia is when your body core temperature starts dropping and your body does what it can to build up the heat. So it's going to start shivering, and that shivering is going to be light. We've all experienced that. But then it can start becoming uncontrollable. If that happens, you need to get inside. If you can't get inside, you need to wrap yourself with as many layers as possible, particularly get out of the wind. And if you're with somebody and they start getting confused, that's a medical emergency. You want to make sure they get treated as soon as possible.
And last quick question, Dr. John, things happen we don't expect, so what should we do to prepare for a winter weather emergency when we're out there?
So one of the things you want to prepare for is make sure you have a go bag, and that go bag has the things in it you need to survive over the next couple of days. You know, things like important documents, extra set of house keys, some cash in case you need cash, things you can eat and drink, water, non-perishable foods, have a flashlight, have a hand-cranked radio can definitely help. Take your medications, toiletries. If you have a cell phone, make sure you take your charger as well, and then a first aid kit, some extra blankets, warm clothing, hand warmers, those things that can help you survive for a couple of days, because you never know when that's going to happen. And I know that you think about this often, but if you have pets, they're going to need a go bag too, Vicki.
All right, 2 go bags. That was great advice. Always good to see you. Thank you, Dr. Torres.
You bet.
Our winter survival guide continues. We'll show you how to stay warm without breaking the bank. Plus, we're heading to driving school for a look at how to safely maneuver on slick, icy, and snowy roads. Also, we'll have your safety guide to winter fun, from sledding to skiing. Consumer Confidential is coming right back.
Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last move.
Was talking smack part of this?
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya!
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last move.
Was talking smack part of this?
Winter weather can cause dangerous driving conditions, from slick and icy roads to ending up stuck in a ditch or a snowbank. That happened to me once. But a little preparation and know-how can help you literally steer your way out of a snowy mess.
It's winter, and that can mean situations like this: cars slipping and sliding all over the road and drivers stranded. In January, thousands of motorists spent 24 hours stuck on a stretch of I-95 in Virginia.
Of course, the safest option is to stay off the roads when it's snowy and icy, but sometimes that's not possible. So I'm heading back to Driver's Ed to get a refresher on how to drive in the winter.
Aaliyah Borelli owns the AP Driving School in New Jersey and has 10 years of experience as a licensed instructor. Aaliyah, what's the first thing we need to know before we hit the road in the winter?
So the first thing you want to do is know what kind of conditions you're driving into and winterize your car for those conditions.
That means clear off the snow and check to ensure your tires are roadworthy. Use the penny trick. If you can see the top of Lincoln's head, that means your tread is worn and you may need new tires. And there are a few must-have items to keep in your car.
You want to definitely have some kind of blanket in a pack that can stay dry.
Okay.
We also have some snacks and some water. A remote jump start, that is a pack that can jump start your car if you need to jump and you don't need to have another car around.
She also recommends a head-mounted flashlight.
And this one I like because you can strap it onto your head in case you need to find, maybe if you drop your keys or if you need to change a tire.
And she says always keep your tank at least half full in case you get stranded and need heat. With our winter supplies ready, it's time to get a driving lesson. When you are driving in icy conditions, what should you keep in mind?
So the first thing you want to do is you want to reduce your speed.
She says the speed limit is only for optimal conditions. In the winter, slow down and give yourself 150 feet to come to a full stop.
You're increasing your reaction time and you're increasing the car's reaction time to different terrain.
Borelli says the old rule of pumping your brakes no longer applies.
Most cars today have anti-lock brake systems. The computer chip in the car is pumping your brakes for you.
Let's say I hit an icy patch. What should I do? Should I hit the brakes?
So you don't want to hit the brakes. You don't want to change that momentum that that car has already too quickly. You want to come off the accelerator and you want to regain control of the car.
Let's say the back of my car starts to skid to the left. What do I do?
What you want to do is first remain calm and come off of your accelerator. Then you want to adjust your steering wheel very gently to the left. You're turning your steering wheel in the direction that the back of the car is skidding.
She says by doing that, you're preventing the car from going into a spin. What if you do slide off the road and get stuck? Let's say we've run into a snowbank. What's the first thing we need to think about?
So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you are visible. If you have some flares, now's the time to use them.
Okay, make sure you read the instructions for how to light the flare and place the first one about 8 paces away from your car. And the second one about 40 paces away. This is to give other cars enough distance to see you and react. No flares? Borelli says don't use hazard lights, which blink. Instead, use your parking lights. Here's the symbol. They'll keep your lights solid, which indicates to drivers you've come to a stop. It sounds strange, but keeping kitty litter in the car could save you.
A little kitty litter right behind your tires might give you that extra traction that you need to get unstuck from your spot.
You can also use your car's floor mat. Some easy tips and tools to help you out of an icy jam. Another tip, if it is foggy, avoid turning on your brights. The light will actually bounce off the fog and make it harder to see. Instead, slow down to increase your reaction time. Use your fog lights instead. Those beams actually point down and make it easier to see the road. As for tire chains or studded snow tires, experts say use those in mountainous or very snowy areas, but in most cases they're not necessary. Some states even ban them, except under extreme conditions because they can damage the roads. All right, well, don't let a day of fun end with a trip to the emergency room. Your safety checklist for winter sports, from skiing to ice skating to sledding. How to tell if you're pushing your body too hard. And later, money matters. The deals you can discover during the winter months. Consumer Confidential returns after this short break.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. I believe. Every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States, let's go! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
The winter months can mean a flurry of seasonal activities, from hitting the slopes to grabbing the sleds, even lacing up your ice skates. While it's great to get your heart pumping and take advantage of the cold weather fun, make sure you brush up on the basics to avoid a trip to the emergency room.
From Olympic athletes to everyday thrill seekers, winter sports take many to new heights, but not without the risk of serious injury.
They're so enthralled by the sport that they forget about the injury risk.
Dr. Wimi Diogi is an orthopedic surgeon who serves as director of sports medicine at MedStar Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C.
Is this the busiest time of year for a doctor like yourself?
For ski-related, snowboard-related injuries, absolutely.
In 2020, skiing resulted in more than 23,000 visits to the ER. Snowboarding, another 19,000. That's why safety experts say when it comes to taking the right precautions, there are just some things you just shouldn't let slide, like making sure you have the proper gear.
What are some of the most common injuries?
There's a large number of concussions, lacerations, fractures. It's really important to wear a helmet when you're performing these sports.
Before hitting the slopes, Dr. Diogi says be honest about your skill level. Don't attempt a double black diamond if you've only experienced a bunny hill. And for those over age 40, he suggests scheduling a checkup with your doctor.
You're going to be doing activities that are going to test your aerobic and anaerobic fitness. You need to get an expert's consultation to make sure that you're healthy before you jump out there.
As ski and snowboard injuries reach their peak, keeping doctors busy, this time of year also has ski shops like this one in high demand.
One of the keys to staying safe on the slopes, selecting the right equipment.
The first hill to climb, dressing the part. Start by wearing several light and loose layers, followed by an outer layer that's wind and water resistant, like these snow bibs.
Focus on fit. Lisa Ski NYC store manager Charlie Marone says find an adjustable helmet.
Look for the knobs in the back. A lot of ski helmets, the newer ones, have knobs that you can tighten it.
Like a nice snug fit.
Right.
What's next?
Next, you want goggles. You want to make sure they fit your face right. You want to cover the sides as well.
Let's get to the skis now. What do we need to know?
You want to get the right size. Typically for beginners, we want to be under the chin because the shortest ski is easier to ski with. And then you want to look at the width here. Wider ski, easier to navigate as well.
How about the boots?
You want to get the right size, it's very important. You want to be a snug fit, you want to hug your foot.
Because boots mold to your feet, Marone recommends buying new rather than used.
When you do used boot, you don't know what foot's been in it. It wouldn't fit your foot correctly.
Once you have your boots properly fitted, make sure an expert has set your bindings according to your height, weight, and ability, so that the skis will release and prevent injury if you have a bad fall.
And because so many winter activities combine high speed and slick surfaces, you can't skate around the risk of falling. But you can learn a safer way to take a tumble. If you lose your balance while ice skating, try to land on your behind, or you'll have the best cushioning. And avoid putting your hands on the ice, especially at a crowded rink where another skater's blade could cut you. Sledding, a popular winter pastime for children, also sends thousands to the ER each year.
Do you recommend wearing a helmet when kids are tubing or sledding?
You can never go wrong wearing a helmet.
For added protection, kids should also avoid sledding head first. And stick to hills free of obstacles with plenty of room at the bottom. Avoid those that end in a street or a body of water. A guide to help you and your family enjoy the ride this winter.
Looks fun, but before you take part in any winter sports, warm up cold muscles with light exercise or stretching, stay hydrated, and avoid overexerting yourself. Dr. Duogi says skiers tend to suffer knee injuries, while snowboarders often injure their internal organs like their kidneys, liver, and spleen. So take it easy and listen to your body. The doctor told us he can't even count the number of patients who got hurt on that one last run. All right, still to come, money matters, from the best deals available during the winter months to cutting your home heating costs. Much more when Consumer Confidential returns.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
You might notice an increase in your home heating bill. The U.S. government has said the cost of heating your home could rise as much as 54% because of inflation. But there are some easy ways you can save money while still staying warm. Here with us is Amy Matthews. She's a general contractor and home improvement expert. Hey, Amy, what are some ways that we can cut down on our winter heating bills this season while still staying safe and cozy?
Yes, absolutely. Well, my goal for people is for number one, them to understand their house better. And number two, to increase their comfort while decreasing their cost. And there's a lot of really easy ways that you can go about that without doing anything new or purchasing anything. And first of all, turn down the thermostat. I know it sounds really, really simple, but the Department of Energy will say that they're going to assume you're going to bring your heating bill down by 1% for each degree you turn the temperature down. That ends up being a lot, because if you turn your temperature down from 7 to 10 degrees, either when you're sleeping or when you're away, that's an immediate savings on your energy bill by 10%. So that's awesome. Another thing that you want to do is you not want to heat rooms that you're not in. So let's say if it's a child's room during the day when they're not there, or a playroom, or an area that you're not using, close the vents to that space so you're not spending money on those kind of things. There's a lot of other areas that we lose heat, and that's going to be through windows and doors mostly. So take a look around your house and check for leaks. See if you can feel any drafts by any windows or doors, because there's easy fixes for those. And then of course the ceiling fans are something that people think of using during the summer, but during the winter, if you reverse them and turn them on clockwise, you're not getting a breeze, you're actually pulling the air, you're creating a convection. So you're pulling the air up and then pushing it back down the sides of the room. So that way you're taking that hot air that gets stuck at the top back down to where you feel it in the space, which is great. So there's so many more. Yeah.
Great tips. Those are all free, easy to do. You make a little air fryer out of your room with that ceiling fan, Amy. Thank you. What about insulation? How do we figure out if our homes are properly insulated?
Well, you want to take a look up in your attic for sure to get started, because just like we put on a hat in the winter so we hold the heat in, anywhere that we're losing air upstairs in our attic, you're literally sending money through the roof. So if you've got an attic, take a peek up there, see if your insulation needs to be updated, fixed. If it's in, it squishes over time, and you want to be able to add insulation there so that you're not losing heat through the roof. And then also check your walls. If you're in a really old home, you may have shredded newspaper in your walls that is your insulation. And there are ways to fix and update that. It's not a quick and easy and cheap fix, but it is possible. And if you're doing a renovation, it's a really great time to consider where you're pulling walls down, where you're renovating, and if you can add extra insulation at that time, it's a good time to do it.
Oh, that's good to think about, and you can eyeball it in the attic at least. And then quickly, talk to us about the bottom line. If you do this heating audit of your house and then you implement some of these tips, how much do you think people can save?
Well, right off the bat, like I mentioned, turning down your thermostat is a big one. Getting a programmable thermostat, that's going to save you a ton of money as well. If you add all these little different hacks in, I'm aiming for people to get about a 25% savings on their heating bill. And it's totally doable. But you have to just walk through the house, possibly do an energy audit. Invest in one of those is a great way to understand your house better and know where you're having the leakage. So then you can pinpoint it, because every house is totally different. But if you can add up to 25% by, cutting down on all these different things, you're going to see a big savings, and that money goes right back in your pocket.
Love it. Thank you. Very important, and to be deliberate about it. Amy Matthews, thank you. Good to have you.
Thanks so much.
Up next, where to find the deals during the winter months, a look at what to buy and how to find those discounts. Consumer Confidential, we'll be right back.
In the City of Angels, two kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
It might be cold outside, but there are still plenty of hot deals to get your hands on during the winter season. Supply chain issues and inflation have continued to affect the prices of everything from household items to groceries. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, meats, poultry, fish, and eggs up 12.5%. Fruits and vegetables up 5%. Furniture and bedding jumped 13.8%. Women's dresses, jewelry, and watches costing you about 8% more. And if you've been to the store, you know it. Consumers having a much harder time finding deals in the marketplace. But luckily, we have shopping expert Trey Bodge with us today. She's going to break down everything you need to know about what to buy right now. Trey, so good to see you. Let's get right into it. After a really tough holiday season with shipping delays and price hikes, I think everyone was really ready for a clean slate in this new year, but it just feels like we can't catch a break. So what's your thought? How much longer are we going to see these high prices and supply chain issues?
It's so hard to say, Vicki, just because we are still seeing these supply chain issues. Some of them are sorting out, but some of them aren't, especially anything with a chip in it. We are seeing delays there, cars, electronics, things like that. I mean, the good news for consumers is that some of the merchandise is coming in, and it's almost too much merchandise at this point. So we might find unexpected sales, which I always like to see.
There's a degree of unpredictability. All right, well, this obviously hasn't been a standard year for those sales, but there are deals still out there. So what's your best advice for where shoppers can find those discounts, and what should people be looking to buy now if they need these items?
Sure. So winter apparel will be on clearance. So for instance, if your coat is old and you need a new one, or if your hat isn't warm enough, those are good things to look for. You should find clearance level deals there. And then there are certain periods in the month that I really like for saving. So for instance, we're going close to Valentine's Day. If you're looking for jewelry, we often see deals on jewelry or anything Valentine's Day themed. It's also good to wait until right after Valentine's Day and you get clearance level deals there. We have a Super Bowl coming up. The big game is a great time to invest in a new TV if you need that, or entertaining items like food, platters, glasses. And then we have President's Day. And you mentioned that big price increase on furniture and bedding. We should see some deals in that category. So that'll be exciting to see too.
Oh, well, that's a great rundown for us. What are things that we might want to wait to buy right now?
Sure. So I would wait on electronics because, again, we are seeing that chip shortage and they're not typically on sale in February anyway, aside from TVs. And so I would wait, if you can, until June for that category. I would also wait on spring apparel. You may see some teaser deals, but it's not going to be anything substantial until later in the season. And then I would say toys, too, because they were just on sale in December. So you're not going to find good deals there.
All right, kids, wait on the toys. When it comes to groceries, that's such a big part of all of our budgets, and it's not something that we can put off. Give us some simple strategies to use to stretch our money.
Right. So you may need to go back to menu planning if you've left it behind. Look at the circulars that are in your mailbox. Go to deal sites to see if there are deals. I am seeing a lot of deals, especially on delivery services for food. And so that's a good way to strategize and save maybe 15% off, 20% off. That's a good way to go with your menu planning. And then buy in bulk when it makes sense, only on those items that you are sure that you will go through, especially if you have a bigger family.
Smart shopping expert Trey Bodge, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Vicki.
And that is our time for now. For all of us at NBC News, I'm Vicki Nguyen. Be sure to join me for another edition of Consumer Confidential right here on Today All Day. In the meantime, stay warm and safe.
Lynn, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for doing this.
It's my pleasure.
I told you I just finished Tick, Tick, Boom, and I have days worth of questions, but I'll try to condense it for you a little bit. I think we should first just start talking about Jonathan Larson and this story, the basis for it. People know Rent.
Yeah.
They may not know the story of Jonathan Larson. So where do we pick up his story with Tick, Tick, Boom, and why did you view it as something that you wanted to dive into?
Just the existence of Tick, Tick, Boom is a really curious thing. Not a lot of people write their own autobiographies at age 29. But Jonathan Larson was an aspiring composer, lyricist. He spent his 20s, the 80s, trying to get this musical, this dystopian sci-fi musical called Superbia off the ground. He had applied for the rights to 1984. He couldn't get them for the Orwell estate. He made his own dystopia. And despite grants and despite the mentorship of Stephen Sondheim and folks really in the know in the theater, no one wanted to make this thing. And his way of processing that loss and the time he'd spent writing this thing no one would ever see was to write a musical about it. So he writes this show called Tick, Tick, Boom about a young singer, songwriter, composer turning 30 and questioning everything. And it's a snapshot of him as a young man and a young artist. It's a snapshot of the AIDS crisis unfolding at that time and the beginning of losing a generation of talent. And it's also about doubling down on your passion even when the world is telling you no, as it was very clearly telling him no. He died tragically of an aortic dissection, which was an undiagnosed Marfan syndrome. He died just before the first preview of Rent off Broadway. And Rent is so much about life, and it is so much about appreciating life while it's here that, you know, that thing took off like a rocket.
Can you explain for people why Rent was so revolutionary?
I saw it for my 17th birthday. My high school girlfriend, Meredith Somerville, took me to the last row of the mezzanine of the Nederlander Theater, and I'll always be in her debt for that. It was the most contemporary feeling show I'd ever seen. It incorporated pop music and rock music and techno, and it just sounded like today. It was the most diverse cast I'd ever seen on Broadway. That beautiful, like, mosaic of humanity that comes downstage for Seasons of Love at the top of Act 2. It made me feel like I could have, I mean, it's echoed exactly in the opening line of Hamilton, right? When they're all singing Time. And it just made me feel like I could have a place up here one day. It felt like he was writing about his community, and it was a community trying to stay alive during the AIDS epidemic and trying to hang on to the village they knew in the face of gentrification. And it was the show that gave me permission to write a musical because it felt like he was writing about his friends. And I was like, oh, I could write one day. And no other musical made me feel like that. I admired them and I loved being in the school play, but they always just felt like they were in some other time and some other place. And this felt like here and now and accessible.
And opened a door, I guess, to In the Heights. I can make a show about where I live.
It's a very short walk. It's just 200 blocks uptown. and to, yeah, you know, and then like, you know, 2 years later, I'm writing, you know, about my neighborhood and the challenges it's facing and bringing in the music that I know and advancing that thesis Jonathan Larson had, that like, musical theater should be in touch with the rest of the world. That was something he felt really passionately about and in conversation with the world.
I read a quote from you that really struck me where you said, if they let me direct one movie, let it be this one.
It had been living in my heart for so long, and it's the show that clarified my resolve. I remember saying to myself, I will do this even if the world doesn't notice. I understood Jonathan's struggle, I knew a lot about it, and I also, you know a little bit about what it is to be a songwriter for theater, where the gulf between what's in your head and anyone seeing it is so wide. It's not like we're novelists and we can self-publish. We need other people to realize the thing that's in our head. And it's an enormous pressure.
I think the reason this movie is going to resonate with so many people is not just because it reflects your story, but it reflects everyone's story in some way. Not that they're a playwright or that they dream of writing the great musical, but they've been in a position like he was, like you were, where you're like, I think I'm good at this. I'm working really hard at it and no one's noticing. How do I get over that wall?
This is a movie about someone who spent 10 years making something no one wanted to see and no one has seen. And I think we've all been in that position of, I've been putting everything, all of my eggs into this basket and nothing's happening. And like, what do I do from here? What are the other roads besides the thing I always wanted to do? And we all have we have many moments like that through our lives. And so I hope this movie hits people the way it hit me, the story hit me when I was 21 years old, where it just like, it clarified my resolve.
And we all have that in us. We all have some version of that story.
Yeah,
I guess it's not going to happen. Maybe I should go do this.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go do that.
And, it was important for us too, because, Jonathan's version is very much from his perspective to like understand that there are a great many roads to happiness in this life. Most of us aren't lucky enough to do what we love for a living. Most of us find a way to carve out the space for that so that we still have a lovely and fulfilling life. And that's, I think, important.
What were those moments for you in your life, Lynn, where you were like, maybe this isn't going to happen. Maybe this In the Heights that I've been working on since college isn't going to get made. Were there moments where you said, okay, I'm going to go work at the advertising firm like we see in the movie or do something else?
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, it's a pretty short line from seeing Rent at 17 to starting to write In the Heights at 19, my sophomore year, because the things that Jonathan did with Rent are all things I believed in. I believe musical theater should be in communication with pop music and popular culture. And my early attempts at writing musicals were all Larson knockoffs. I was trying to sound like him. And then In the Heights was the first time I started to sound like myself, because I did what Jonathan did. I brought in the Latin music I grew up with, the hip hop music I grew up with, into my work. Everybody's got a job, everybody's got a dream. Within the Heights, it was a 6-year journey. It was my 20s, and the advantage I had, or I guess the head start I had, was that I found amazing collaborators that made my work better sooner.
Speaking of Jonathan Larson and finding somebody to fill those shoes, Andrew Garfield is extraordinary in this. What did you see in him that you thought he's the guy?
Yeah, well, I knew I needed a theater beast. I knew that you can't just like cast a movie star as Jonathan Larson, because Jonathan Larson lived and breathed the theater, and in my conception of the movie, he would be playing piano and singing for half the film. And I was lucky enough to see Andrew Garfield in a play prior in Angels in America, Tony Kushner's masterpiece at the National in London before it came to Broadway. And it's a 6.5, 7-hour show. It's in 2 parts. You see the matinee, you eat dinner, you see part 2.
I did it, yeah.
And I remember just taking the cab home being like, that guy can do anything. That guy can do anything. And he, he became Jonathan Larson in my head in that moment.
Does he remind you in any way of Jonathan, based on what you know about Jonathan 100%. Larson?
Well, they're both incredibly deep thinkers about their craft, and they think about why they do what they do so intensely.
And he can sing.
And
Andrew Garfield can sing.
He can really sing. As soon as he told me, it's something I have not done, but it's a thing I've always wanted to explore, I knew we were good, because I knew he would go all the way in on doing what he needed to do, and I just needed to give him the resources and the time to get where he needed to get.
What does it take to wake up a generation?
And we had about 1.5 years between that first conversation and really starting to pick up steam with the project, so it was, I wasn't worried.
I believe every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States, let's go! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
I believe. Every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States wins gold! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya!
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
As you look back on your own story pre-Jonathan Larson, when did you start to discover that you maybe had a talent or at least a passion for making music, writing songs, performance?
Yeah.
When was that moment?
Well, I was a film baby first. So I was, my dad had an early camcorder and I was making movies since I was 7 years old. And in the summers, my grandfather owned a video store in Puerto Rico called Miranda Video. He would lend me, he was a bank manager at the local town bank, and he would lend me the camcorder that they used for surveillance footage that was mounted up in the corner. And I would film movies, and you can see I have like old stop motion videos of G.I. Joes hitting each other, and in between them you see footage of people online at the bank. But again, like it was there were amazing summers. I would just watch any movie that I felt like taking home, and some of them very age inappropriate. But I just watched anything and everything, and then was like making little movies just sort of at my grandparents' house. And so that was my first love. And then I fell in love with theater because of my elementary school music teacher, Barbara Ames, and our shop teacher, Robert Sherman. They would always direct the 6th grade play. Mm-hmm. And, the whole school sees the 6th grade play. So by the time you're in 5th grade, you're like, what are we going to do for our 6th grade play? And for our 6th grade play, we did like 20-minute versions of the previous 6 years worth of productions. Wow. So it was this 4-hour, I shudder as a parent to think, 4-hour like medley where I got to play a farmer in Oklahoma, a son in Fiddler, Bernardo in West Side Story, Captain Hook, and Ada Pearl back up in The Wiz, and then the most important, Conrad Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie. And when you play Conrad Birdie and you're 12 and you're 3 feet tall, and every time you sing, everyone is supposed to faint and gasp, Conrad! I was like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. Like, there was no other choice. And so I really sort of fell in love with school theater as a result, and just started auditioning for the school play, and then graduated to directing the school play because it was all student run at Hunter High School. And that was my path. But I always wanted to do both things. So I've sort of come a long way to come back around to my first love of, stealing my grandpa's bank camcorder.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I didn't even know those came off the ceiling. That's very impressive.
Yeah, it wasn't the smaller ones that they have now. It was the take out the cassette.
I think also an important part of your story that leads you to In the Heights and Hamilton as well is music, hip hop of that time.
Yeah.
We were both late 80s, early 90s fans
100%.
of everything that was happening. And man, for me, who grew up on that, to sit in that theater and listen to Hamilton, to hear all those sometimes obscure references, it was amazing. So how important was that education in hip hop to the style that you created for your shows?
Sure. Well, listen, I'm a little younger than hip hop itself, and I grew up one neighborhood south of the Bronx. As you know, like having a cooler older sibling is always going to be an advantage in terms of your taste. So I remember stealing her De La Soul CDs and her Ice Cube cassettes and Tribe Called Quest. Everyone thinks the music they listened to when they were a teenager is the best, but we're right. Because I think there was so much diversity in the genre of hip hop right at that time. It was like you had PM Dawn next to Grave Diggers, next to Tribe Called Quest, next to, Dre and Snoop. It's all in there.
There's a moment in your life, again, the parallels of Larson, where your father writes you a letter where you're at this crossroads, right? And you're thinking, okay, I don't know if it's going to happen the same way Jonathan Larson taught. What did he say in that letter, and what did it mean to you?
Well, what was scary to me was that my first job out of college was teaching English at my old high school, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, it's very exciting to watch kids fall in love with writing and fall in love with poetry and fall in love with literature, and being able to help spark that connection that, you know, will feed you your whole life if it happens early. And so they had offered me a full-time position, and I could see the Mr. Holland's Opus version of my life, where I just kind of teach kids and hopefully am fondly remembered and never finish my play, never finish my symphony in Mr. Holland's case. And I wrote my dad and said, like, what do I do? Like, I could also just like quit and sub, and I may not make my rent month to month, but I'll have time to work on this thing. And he said, I really want to tell you to take the full-time job. I really want to tell you. But I would be betraying, you know, the memory of my own mother, who, when I told her I have to go to Puerto Rico to go to school, didn't blink. You have to do the thing that matters the most to you, and follow your gut.
What a blessing.
One absolute blessing, because that guy was also saying be a lawyer the entire time I was in high school and college, and so something switched, and the way in which he kind of gave me the right advice right when I needed it.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now. Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
Tonight, the major announcement of the COVID vaccine.
And this is a significant moment.
Your news, whenever it happens, wherever you are, it's here now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I believe. Every dream, every journey, every triumph.
And it all starts here.
Let the celebration begin! The excitement is in the air. United States wins gold!
Is he superhuman?
Feel the magic every day.
She is a superstar.
Kayla, we are cheering you on.
John White!
And share every moment with us at the Winter Olympics.
Today
Is where the games begin.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
So when did In the Heights click? You finished it. This is your great work. You've hung in. You put in all these years to get it done. What was the moment where you got a phone call or talked to somebody and said, "Oh, this is gonna go. This is gonna work"?
Honestly, I felt so much lighter the moment we did our first performance on stage, and I was able to experience that because I've already been able to cross that distance that Jonathan never got to cross.
Yeah.
You know, because that was my yardstick and that was my inspiration. It was like, oh my gosh, this thing is going to be on stage, and I've done it. I've gotten it across the finish line. Forget how long it runs. Forget it exists. Other people know it. It is on sheet music. It is no longer just in my head. It's out in the world.
So many people in the country, around the world, picked you up after Hamilton exploded. But you have to look back at In the Heights, where you won 4 Tony Awards. You were Best Musical.
I thought it did everything a show can do. We did it. We won the big prize.
Yeah.
We made back our investors' money. And we had suddenly all these incredible roles for Latino performers, which was an incredible, is the incredible legacy that kind of keeps on giving as I meet more and more artists for whom Heights was their first show, or Nina first spoke to them as a character.
Yeah, then you go on vacation.
Yeah,
Ron
2008.
Chernow's book.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It's a very good book. And you come up with a preposterous idea. You're going to tell the story of the founding fathers with Black and Latin cast through hip hop. The earliest pitch of that idea, how was it received?
Luckily, it was to people who'd been with me before, so they're like, all right, you know. But it was, it's a terrible pitch. It's a terrible elevator pitch. But you know, it's funny. Like the first time I ever performed anything from it was at the White House. It was 2009. Right. I'd been invited to perform something from In the Heights. It was like the White House's first evening of poetry and spoken word. And they said, unless you have something about the American experience. And I was like, I got 16 bars on Hamilton. I don't really have a chorus yet. I'll write it for this occasion. And I just thought, if it doesn't work in this room, it's probably as bad as everyone says it is. But if anyone's gonna get it, it's this White House and this, you know, this group of folks who are well-versed in hip hop and in the history of the room in which we find ourselves in. And I've never been more nervous in my life.
I'm sure.
In a lot of ways, it was insane and foolhardy to perform such an unfinished piece on such a, you know, national visible stage. On the other hand, it gave me resolve for, you know, and strengthened my resolve that this is a good idea because I saw how it played in that room.
Right.
Alexander Hamilton, we were waiting in the weeds for you.
What was the moment where you and everybody in the cast said, there's something happening
It was
here?
when your mom called you and said, we have to see this play. Because
she did?
She saw it at the public.
She did? That's a true story.
That's the moment. Well, there was a lot of little moments. I remember thinking, if nothing else, this will have a healthy life because school groups, if they can get over the 3 uses of the F word, will bring their kids. You know, I knew enough about the business that like if you can get the school group crowd, like you can fill a Wednesday matinee.
Field trips.
Field trips are the lifeblood of our industry. And I knew that we had overlap with AP US History. So that was my pragmatic thought.
Right.
We can run a couple of years on school trips alone. And then I think when we announced our second extension and the tickets went on sale, I remember Oscar Eustis came into the theater and said, the phones are broken. We've had the website go down due to ticket sale demand. We've never had someone break the phones. Like this is another thing. That's when I knew we were in a weird other place, that somehow we'd gotten the thing that no one can buy, which is everyone who left the show told 5 people you have to see the show.
Right.
And you can't buy that and you can't fake that. It happens or it doesn't. And it has, we just celebrated our 2000th performance on Broadway yesterday.
That's amazing.
And I never in a million years would have imagined it.
I know it's hard to have any perspective on something you're so close to, but are you able, with a little distance now, to articulate why it caught fire the way it did, beyond the originality of it and how great the music is and the acting, the performances, but what was it about that was so different from anything else we'd seen?
Well, I think the things that it's quote unquote are about are not really what it's about. It's not really about American history, although it details American history. It's not really about politics, although it is in a way about the birth of our American politics and how everything that was present at the founding, good and bad, is still present in our present day. It's really about what are we doing with our time. It's the same thing Tick, Tick, Boom's about. How do we respond to the fact that we don't know how long we have here? And so you can't leave that show without thinking, what am I doing with my life? I always tell folks, like, I didn't get like, thank you for the tickets text. I would get like 3 a.m., what am I doing with my life emails in those early days when people saw the show for the first time. And so I think that's the secret sauce of it.
Can you speak to what it's done to your life? Forget the professional side of it, but to go from a highly regarded Broadway composer and actor within the Heights to something completely else around the world.
Yeah, I kept waiting for my life to come back to normal and it still hasn't happened. You know, and in a way I feel lucky that I had 35 years of a very normal life before it happened, because I already knew who I was when the success happened. I was still doing the show. I was in 7 shows a week. I couldn't go to all the things that were being thrown at me, all the invites. I was like, no, I have 2 shows tomorrow. I can't go out. And I also, I was very well settled, and I have a family and a wife that really keeps my head on straight. But in terms of the show itself, there's a point at which you have to think of it as separate from you. I remember when it only lived in my arms, but now it belongs to the world in a very real way, and you have to then figure out, all right, what else can I do? What else am I making?
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
You've also got the animated film Encanto,
yes,
which is about to come out. What is that story? And again, as you looked at the menu of possibilities, what grabbed you about that?
Yeah, well, I had such a great time working on Moana. I was working on it at the same time as Hamilton, often writing in my dressing room in between shows. And I just said, I want to be in there from the beginning on the next one, because I was hired several years into the development process on Moana. And if it's Latino themed, like, I'm there, like, you just have to call me. And so I was able to be there from the beginning of the process. We knew we wanted to set in Latin America, and the team was really inspired by the literature and culture of magical realism that came out of Colombia. And then the fun part was we really wanted to write a thing about family. Like, that's what kind of kept coming up in our conversations. So often in the movie making process, it becomes about your main character and their quest, and anything that isn't to do with that quest and the stakes, like, gets pared away. When I got hired for Moana, Moana had 8 brothers. Moana had more important stuff to do. Goodbye, 8 brothers, like, let's go save the world. And so we really kind of started with the thesis of, can we make the relationships between our family members the actual meat of the story, and how those relationships shift and change and grow, or the distance between how you see yourself versus the role you play in your family. And sometimes that's really short, and sometimes it's a gulf.
In time, every member of our family,
Cecilia, up top,
was given their own magical gift.
To then explore that in Colombia through the sort of amazing prism of Colombian music and culture has been just this joyous 5 years. And again, working at the same time as I'm editing Tick Tick Boom. But when I do have more than one project, something that I kind of do that is, it's like a helpful, like, trick I play on myself, is I just pretend I'm back in school. And I go, these aren't projects, these aren't responsibilities, they're classes. I'm auditing Jonathan Larson Intensive. I'm auditing this Disney songwriting process. And if I think of it that way, because college sets you up to think this way, I think about the ways in which they feed each other. I don't think about, like, oh God, I've got all this to do, and oh God, I've got all this to do. Right. I think, oh, this informs this, and I can take what I'm learning from this and apply it here. It's a silly, and it's only a game I play in my own mind, but it's really helpful in terms of changing your mindset from I have to do this to I get to do this.
Right.
And that's all the difference in the world.
We were talking about John Leguizamo, and in our interview, he said the phone rang one day, and he said it was the great Lin-Manuel Miranda. He said, I couldn't believe he was calling me. And I suspect you feel just the opposite. I can't believe I live in a world where I get to call John Leguizamo.
I can't believe he's in the movie.
So as a first-time director, Tick Tick Boom is over, credits come up, directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. What did that feel like?
Oh man, you're trying to make me cry with this question, and you're going to succeed. It felt amazing. You know, it's such a dream come true for me. There were challenges to this film. We made this film in the midst of a pandemic because we all took it so seriously, and there were so many times when I thought this movie would never get made, and so to be on this side of it is it's an enormous relief. And what I'm most proud of is the fact that the people in Jonathan's life are so proud of the film. You know, that community that I first met when I met them all in 2014, and Julie Larson and Vicky Leacock and Jonathan Burkhart and Matt O'Grady and all of the people who truly were there for Jonathan's journey see him in the film, and that means I've done my job.
Boy, if you didn't have enough pressure directing your first film, you want to get it right for all them, right?
Yeah.
Amen.
But in a way, it's liberating because your ego is totally out of the process. It's how do I do right by this artist, and I'm just so proud.
You should be. It's amazing. Congrats. Well, good for you. I could talk to you all day, but I know you have other places to be. It's so great to talk to you. Thank you for everything you've put into the culture, man.
Oh, thank you so much. This is great.
Thanks for joining us here. It is time for Popstar Plus, and coming up on today's show, we're celebrating the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with the new reboot set to be released after the Super Bowl. We've got an interview with Karen Parsons, who played Hillary on the original, and a great moment from our vaults with the one and only Will Smith himself. But first, let's see what was going on today's Popstart. First up, breaking news here on Popstart. Hot off the press is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced a lineup of nominees for this year's class. Here are some of the names in the running on the ballot for the very first time.
Yes!
One and only American treasure, the commander of them all, Dolly Parton.
Yes! Finally!
Joined by Eminem. Savannah, are you listening? Duran Duran.
Yes!
Mike Ritchie, how is that not already?
Lionel!
Carly Simon.
Oh, wow.
And nominated once again is music and Twitter icon Diane Warwick.
Yes.
Joined by fellow artist Pat Benatar.
Yes.
And how is it taking so long for Beck to get in?
What is that?
How many
kids?
There are 17 nominees total this year.
Oh, okay.
We will find out who gets in when they announce them.
Come on. Dolly's not in?
Well, we're going to find out in May.
Wow. Okay.
All right, next up, this series looks great on Paramount Plus. It's called The Offer. The new series is heading to Paramount Plus anyway. It's set to tell the dramatic real-life story behind the making of The Godfather. In the trailer, we get a first look at Miles Teller as award-winning producer Albert S. Ruddy, and a peek at his desperate fight to get the Mario Puzo iconic gangster novel onto the big screen.
This is a story about family. It's Shakespeare.
Agencies won't touch us.
It's epic.
You want to be a producer? Beg, borrow, steal, do whatever it takes.
Gangster movies are dead.
We will snuff out the hatred.
If I say I'm gonna handle something, I'm gonna handle
and the prejudice.
You're still gonna try to make this thing?
Sinatra wants us to shut the picture down. What is our opening line? I believe in America.
I mean, it just looks good.
Brilliant.
We're watching 1883 on Paramount Plus right now. This is going to come out. They're doing some good things over there. Show also stars Ted Lasso's Juno Temple. That's who plays Keeley.
Right.
She's great in it too. And American Crime Stories. Colin Hanks is in it. It's a great cast. The Offer is the name of it, and starts streaming on April 28th. I give it a good sell there.
Real good.
It was earnest. It was from the heart.
I liked it.
Finally, our Super Bowl commercial kickoff all week. We're giving you a sneak peek at some of the biggest ads for the big game. We used to wait for the big game to see all these ads. Now we just get them here.
That's it.
This morning, we've got a first look at Lay's potato chips, their first Super Bowl campaign in 17 years, and it stars the very funny Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen. Here it is.
Nervous?
Oh, Lay's. Brings back so many good memories. Remember our road trip in '97? Our first real heart-to-heart.
I've never seen any of your movies. Not even the ones we're in together.
Remember when you bought your first house?
Hi, I'm Seth.
You ready?
Seth, do you?
I do.
And Janet, do you?
That's a yes.
That's funny. Rogen actually created that ad with his longtime friend and writing partner, Evan Goldberg. They worked together on Superbad, and this is the end. And don't forget to tune in, of course, to the big game. It's next Sunday, February 13th. Where else? Right here on NBC. And, of course, streaming on Peacock.
Awesome.
And that is your Popstar today. Let's get to a few more headlines. After all, the show is called Popstar Plus. First up, and just like that, more good news for fans of the new Sex and the City series after revealing that HBO Max will release a behind-the-scenes documentary following Thursday's season finale. Sarah Jessica Parker is giving hope this may not be the end of the new chapter. SJP telling Variety that she and showrunner Michael Patrick King are already talking about a second season. the actress and executive producer, sharing in an interview, there feels like there's momentum. As for the return of Kim Cattrall's character, the beloved Samantha Jones, don't hold your breath. Parker and King both saying that there are no plans to bring her back into the story at this time. But maybe later, who knows? Next up, David Letterman, the man who started it all, returned to late night on Tuesday to celebrate the show's 40th anniversary with current host Seth Meyers. And taking a look down memory lane, Dave shared how before he landed in the late night time slot, he had a short-lived stint hosting during our current Today Show hours.
We had blown up the NBC daytime schedule a year previously. We had a show, a lot of us had a show that we thought was just great, and it was on for 90 minutes live, like 9 to 10:30 on NBC, and it replaced 2 or 3 game shows, and it turned out America didn't want them replaced. Certainly didn't want them replaced by me, but when you're...
Letterman said his daytime show only lasted for a couple of months. A year later, it did land him an 11-year run as the host of Late Night. And those are your headlines. Up next, Karen Parsons, who played Hillary on the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, shares her favorite moments from the show.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
Welcome back to Popstar Plus. In just 11 days, Peacock, of course part of our parent company, NBC Universal, is going to be releasing the highly anticipated Bel-Air. So today we thought we'd take a moment to check out, well, the roots of that reboot. We're going to get a visit from Karen Parsons, who played Hillary on the original show. Here is today's flashback.
I think I probably hear the line, "Daddy, can I have $300?" more than anything.
Dad, I need $300.
How would I describe Hillary Banks? You know, the way I've described her has changed over the years. I still think she's incredibly self-centered, and she's just myopic. You know, she's been grown up as daddy's little girl, first child, and it was a girl. You know, I just imagine that they dressed her up in all kinds of little fancy little frilly things, and everything she wanted, they gave her. And my first child was a daughter, so I'm starting to even understand it in that regard. I think I underestimated a lot of things about her. I think she's very determined. She's so self-centered and seemingly myopic, but at the same time, she's very focused and determined and has confidence. You know, the confidence we all wish we had. If she wants to do something, she knows she can do it. She's going to do it because that's what she wants, and that's it. And she's going to get it because she always gets what she wants, you know, so nothing stops her. And I think that's a quality of Hillary's that I love and I wish I could have a little bit more of. And I do think that she has a lot more heart. You know, she has a lot more heart than she might always get credit for.
Look, there he goes.
Hillary Banks!
Yes, Trevor!
Will you marry me?
Yeah, the bungee jumping episode will forever be my bittersweet episode, because I remember when I read the script for the first time, there was this horrible heartbreak of oh my gosh, Brian Stokes Mitchell's not going to be on the show anymore. Because Brian, who played Trevor, was so wonderful. I loved working with him. I loved the Hillary-Trevor romance. It was really fun. And so it was horribly disappointing to read, like, oh no, Trevor's gone, Brian's gone. And then you just see the way how it happened and how it played out. And then, of course, that's the laughs, the part that was so funny.
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, Your Highness.
I think my favorite episode still for me to do, and I liked it how it came out too, was in the first season when Hillary drops out of college and is blackmailed by both Will and Carlton. And when I go to my brother for help, I'll never forget when we taped that episode, and it was the first season, and so I didn't know a lot of how the audience was taking Hillary. I hadn't had a lot of feedback from people yet, but I was assuming people probably weren't going to like her that much because everyone loved Will, and she had this kind of thing with him. And we got to the part where I go to Carlton for help and say he's making me, clean his dirty drawers or lucky draws or whatever. And he says, "Will you clean mine?"
Is he making you clean his room?
No.
Will you clean mine?
And when that happened, he turned on me. The audience did not just start clapping. They started stomping in the stands. They started stomping their feet and howling. And we were trying to keep a straight face and stay in the scene. And if you watch the scene, you can see as they cut back and forth, you can see me kind of smiling and trying to play it off as I can't believe you smile. Because I couldn't keep it down. I couldn't believe they hated her so much. They were loving seeing her get hers.
I'd like to finish my story if that's okay with you, Hillary.
It was fun, the whole thing barking like a dog at the table and how we put that whole thing together was really fun. I was really lucky to get a lot of really funny lines, and I forgot how funny they were until recently when I found them as memes and stuff. One I totally forgot about from the first season that I saw as a meme was, good God, who shot the couch?
Good God, who shot the couch?
There are so many good ones, like, how do I put this nicely? I'm just too good for you.
As long as neither of us are doing anything, why don't we not do it together?
Oh, well, that's very sweet, but how can I put this nicely? I'm too good for you.
There were all these just lines that were just her just being honest in her own Hillary way.
Will!
Hill!
Daddy, I need $500.
Like what you see on The Fresh Prince is Will. That is Will, more than any other film you'll see. I remember I saw Shark's Tale, the animated film that he did, and I was telling him, I said, I saw Shark's Tale, and it reminded me, it just made me feel like I was with you so much, like more than anything else I've seen. He said, because in that film, he said, the only other thing besides Shark's Tale where they let me do whatever I wanted was Fresh Prince, just being myself and do what I wanted. So it was like, if he's playing a fish or if he's Will on the Fresh Prince, that's really him. Just this big personality, loves to laugh, is so curious and so intensely bright. He's always, you can see it when you watch him. I mean, if I watch him interviewed or on something, I still see that laser focused look because his mind is going and everything's like churning, and he's always finding excitement in things.
And we've got more with Karen in just a moment, including her favorite Fresh Prince guest stars. That's coming up.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
These days, the news never stops. The morning's headlines change by afternoon, and by the end of the day, it's all totally different. So let's get into it. what's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. I get it. I know that it can be hard to keep up. So let's get started together and go from there.
Hey, I'm Hallie Jackson, and we have a ton going on tonight. Here's the deal.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back. Karen Parsons starred as Will's cousin Hillary on the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for 6 seasons. Here's more now of our conversation about the beloved sitcom.
We had so many great guest stars. Zsa Zsa Gabor let me wear her ring all day. That was cool. She gets points for that. You know, I love that we had Milton Berle on the show, but I never interacted with him. He was apparently a real curmudgeon. Tom Jones was probably one of my very favorites. I was really excited that Tom Jones was on the show. But my very favorite person to act with, hands down, was Regis Philbin. All these people on the show, but I will tell you, Regis Philbin, we were talk show hosts. I was co-hosting with guest hosting with him. And he's so dry. He was so funny. His timing was incredible. And it was just a real fun game, you know, tossing it back and forth. I would have loved to work with him regularly.
You spend more on clothes than most small countries spend on grain.
I feel like I learned a lot from James as a person and as an actor. That's hard because I feel like it's so much in me. And he was so generous. You know, I'll never get over the episode that sticks with so many people that when Will's father left.
How come you don't want me, man?
And I remember Will really wanted that to work, and him going to James and talking to him and giving him advice on things and being really helpful in a really quiet way, in a very quiet way. He was not heavy-handed about anything like that. But one thing James did that was really beautiful is he saw things in you that you might not see in yourself, and he saw possibilities. He used to really want me to play Lady Macbeth. It made me look at myself differently. It made me look at myself as an actor differently. It made you feel, it was nice to be seen, but it was also interesting to recognize someone seeing you through a very different lens than maybe you saw yourself, and credit yourself. And he did that not just with me, you know, with Tatiana. He had the same thing about something he wanted her to do that he really saw. And I think it landed on her, or she saw that for herself. And he was beautiful that way, that he would look at you and say, you know, it's like what you're capable of, you know what you could do, something so different from how you might see yourself. And it made you kind of expand. No, he was amazing. You know, one of my favorite things about the relationship between the siblings, the whole family, and really just the whole makeup of the family and the cast, including Jeffrey, was how different we all were. We were all such different personalities. I don't think anybody was like another person in this whole cast of characters. And that was really a wonderful thing, especially for a Black family on screen. Like whenever I see scenes with Hillary and Ashley, it's like oil and water in a way. Not in a that they don't like each other, but that they're just so different, you know. And Ashley's so kind to her sister, who she feels, she's her big sister, but she kind of feels for her because it's almost like somebody dropped Hillary on her head. It's like kind of the way Ashley speaks to her a little bit, you know, recognizing that she's different. And And I love that, Hillary still feels like whatever she's saying is right, and that's just the way the world is. I think Hillary now would be the queen of the internet. I have no doubt. She'd be the Instagram queen. To me, that's so obvious. I remember once I thought of it once, and I was like, oh yeah, that's where she lives, and that's what she was made for. She would own it. She would own Instagram.
And coming up, Will Smith's visit today in a very 90s get-up as Fresh Prince was at its peak. That's coming up in The Vault next.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this closet.
I took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
In the City of Angels, two kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. The year was 1991, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was all the rage when Will Smith visited today to chat about his role and the show's success. Take a look.
Tonight's airing of the NBC comedy Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is going to feature back-to-back segments, and the two segments will be bridged by the premiere of the Prince's newest music video. Will Smith is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. How you been? Good morning.
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. First off, why two segments, two episodes in one night?
Well, what it is NBC has been juggling things to put behind the show, trying to see what works and what happens. Like last week, they had The Cosby Show at 8 and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at 8:30, just trying to see what happens in the slot. So this is just something else.
Experiment.
Experiment.
I saw recently where you said that you weren't embarrassed, but that you thought the first few episodes of Fresh Prince, your acting was terrible. Is that true?
Oh, yes, very much so. I got to around the 6th or the 7th episode, and I was totally new to acting. I had, no formal theatrical training, and this is the first thing I ever did was the pilot of the show. So, I'm just giving it my best shot. And then what happens, I'm looking back, and as I'm hanging with actors and things like that, you start to see the different tricks and everything that they do. And I looked at myself and it was like, ugh. And if you watch the first 3 episodes, next time they play, I'm lipping everyone's lines because I memorized the whole script. I didn't just memorize my lines. So it's like, as you're talking, I'm going.
waiting for your
waiting for my next line. So it was like, ooh.
If I ad lib, I lose you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gone.
As you watch today, do you feel totally comfortable with being an actor yet?
I'm starting to feel more comfortable. It's just so many things to learn, and I like Denzel a lot, and I study people, and it's like, when they wipe their head or something like that, that's planned. Everything, they plan everything. It's like there's hours and hours of preparation that go into playing their parts. But I never prepare. I learn my lines and show up and do it.
You and I last had a chance to talk back in September when the show was just about to debut. And back then everybody was saying, oh, this is going to be the big mega blockbuster of all time. The show did well, finished 38th, but it wasn't the mega hit that other people expected. Did they expect too much? Were the expectations unrealistic?
Well, again, I was blind going in, so I knew that everyone was hyping it up, and he's going to be the next this and next that. I was like, oh, please, just let me get one episode behind me. Let me do one first. So it's like I pretty much had to get away from that, not pay attention to what was going on too much. For me, the whole year was a learning process.
Yeah.
So as I learned and everything, so now I can have something to do with what the hype is going to be next year.
Nice.
So, you know, I was blind. It was like, hey, this is their job. I got mine.
Let's show a clip of that learning process. This is from tonight's episode when you're asking Jeff to go on out with your sister.
Okay.
Okay, Jazz, look, you know I'd do anything for you. You're like a brother to me. Check. Which means that your sister should be like a sister to me, not a girlfriend. I mean, just think, if it doesn't work out, it could jeopardize our friendship. I'm willing to take that risk. Yeah, my brother, I'm gonna have to get it some serious thought.
All right, well, can I bring her by just to meet you sometime?
Yeah, that's chill.
Cool. Tonight, 8 o'clock sharp, and try and smell good. Yo, big boy, give your sweet mama some sugar.
All right, let's talk music. Now, you're putting the video between the two segments. Aren't they really different audiences? I mean, the audience for your music and the audience for your TV show?
I don't think so. I think that my music audience is a big chunk of the television audience. I think there's a few new viewers that haven't heard Parents Just Don't Understand or Mike Tyson or Nightmare, any of my other records. I think that the character is pretty much the same. It's all me. What I'm giving on the television show is just myself, and what I give in the music is just myself.
For those who may not know, before you were on television, you were a recording artist, along with DJ Jazzy Jeff. But the TV show has made it difficult for you to keep up with your music, hasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It took us a year to do our album, and our album is finally finished, but it took us a year to do it, because we were trying to do, I'm in Los Angeles and Jeff is in Philadelphia, so we had sort of a fax thing going with this album, you know, going back and forth and back and forth. But it worked out, turned out good. The album's real good.
You figure you're gonna have to choose between music and acting?
I don't think so. What I can do now is we have a pretty long hiatus from the acting world. So during the summer, I can work on my albums.
Nice.
The summertime.
Well, take care of yourself, will you?
You too.
Always fun to take a trip down memory lane. Don't forget the reboot, Bel Air, premieres Super Bowl Sunday. You know it's good when it premieres there. February 13th on Peacock. Check out this next conversation right here on Popstar Plus.
Okay, I love this quoted by series, but not as much as I love this guy, Pat Monahan. Pat is as you guys know, he's the lead singer of Train. He's one of my favorite guys. And Pat, I mean, your music's so soulful, it always hits me at a spot where I just go like, ouch, it's special. So I wondered, is there a quote that you have that you feel like is kind of a little bit of a guiding light for you?
There is. It's one that I didn't give you guys. I'm going to tell you the one that I gave you, but I've been looking for the one that really did influence me. I used to have to go to my uncle's CPA firm, and he had, in like old English, this saying that said, "Good things cometh to those who wait, as long as those who waiteth worketh their ass off." And I couldn't find it. So the closest one that I could find was this by Thomas Edison, which is "Opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work." And that made a lot of sense to me because, you know, especially young people they're like, "Oh, I want to be famous. I want to be a TikTok star," which is awesome because it's such a cool opportunity. But it takes a lot to do those things, and that's why I love this quote.
So do you think that you're where you are today because of hard work or because of talent? Which wins if you're weighing the two?
Well, I had to have a little bit of talent, but it was the hard work that really did it, because I realized early on that I wasn't as talented as Kurt Cobain and so many other very talented people. And it didn't probably come easy to them either, but it sure seemed like it did. So I just had to outwork everybody. And honestly, I still feel like I have to. So even being in the music industry for 30 years, I hope to have 30 more, but it won't come for free, you know?
Wow. Well, I think that's good for a lot of folks who are watching and wondering, like, I wonder if I can
You're the hardest working human being, in the world.
All right. Hey, Pat, thank you, honey. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Oda.
And that does it for this edition of Popstar Plus. Be sure and join us again tomorrow. We're going to be catching up with snowboarding star Chloe Kim as the Winter Olympics gets underway. We'll see you then.
Welcome to
today, all day.
All day?
Today, all day. All day.
This is a long way of asking who's your favorite character you've ever played. The unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day.
Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts. Cold Cut. Cold Cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart Today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart.
Make the most of your beach days.
It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
One of our most favorite franchises ever, Ambush Makeovers.
Okay.
Look at it. It doesn't look so good.
No, it doesn't look good.
Will you judge us in a cook-off?
I will, and you
Okay.
guys will definitely win something.
Today, all day.
All day?
All day.
Welcome to Today All Day. Oh my gosh, hi. Look, we're watching our favorite streaming channel Today All Day. We love when you tune in Today in 30. And Willie's here.
It's an honor. I'm so excited to be with you in Studio 1A. It is 2/2/22. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Folks at home, we have a big show coming your way.
Big, we sure do. But before we get to the fun stuff, we have to start with that nasty winter weather. It's stretching from New Mexico all the way to New England. 100 million people in the path of snow, ice, and rain. And Mr. Roker is watching it all. He'll tell us what we need to know.
Then we will take you inside the new name and look for the NFL's Washington football team. Craig had the honors of helping to deliver that big news from FedEx Field.
And speaking of sports, the Winter Olympics, they start tomorrow. We're going to introduce you to an athlete who has an alter ego when she steps onto the ice.
Can't wait for that. We're going to close things with some laughs because Justin Sylvester stopped by the fourth hour to give Hoda and Jenna his scoop.
Don't you miss the fourth hour a little? The fourth hour misses Willie. All right, let's get started, guys. It's time for us to say Today in 30. Let's get started in Chicago, where it is already snowing. NBC's Megan Fitzgerald's all bundled up there. Hey, Megan, good morning.
Hey, Coda, good morning to you. Yeah, this snow started falling late last night. Not expected to taper off until late this afternoon. But we're talking about 2,000-mile stretch of mess, stretching from the Mexico border all the way up to Vermont. Here in Chicago, you can see the snow here already, this wet snow piling up. But keep in mind, this is just the first of a 1-2 punch storm that's expected in the coming days. Overnight, the first flakes starting to fly, the beginning of yet another winter wallop.
Here we go again, more snow.
More than 90 million Americans across 19 states are in the crosshairs of what could be the biggest storm of the season.
Travel would become dangerous, if not impossible.
Dangerous road conditions in Denver already causing accidents. In Illinois, the governor issuing a disaster declaration, warning some parts of the state could get up to 20 inches of snow. In Detroit, where up to 16 inches of snow could fall, schools are making plans to go virtual.
I don't like the snow, and I'm 60 years old. I ain't never seen 15 inches of snow in my life.
Detroit's mayor activating the city's snow emergency routes. Across the Midwest, residents are stocking up on essentials and preparing for the worst.
I purchased everything that I could.
In Texas, fears this could be a repeat of last year's deadly freeze that led to a massive power grid failure and hundreds of deaths. This storm is expected to last several days, with temperatures plummeting in many parts of the country. Hundreds of flights have already been canceled, and officials are urging drivers to stay off the roads and stay home.
This could be the most significant winter weather event we're going to see this season.
Now, the governor of Illinois has activated the National Guard, some 100 National Guard members at the ready to respond to emergency situations. This is a situation that we're seeing across the country where governors are urging folks to take precautions as this storm makes its way across the country.
Hoda? Megan Fitzgerald for us there in Chicago. Megan, thank you.
Let's swing over to Al to unpack everything you need to know about this storm. Al, this weather is relentless.
That's right. And now we're talking 100 million of us under some sort of winter weather advisory, storm watch, storm warning, or ice warning. You can already see now changing over Springfield, St. Louis, already into the heavy snow in Chicago. Detroit's going to be involved. So today, tonight, the front moves across the Lone Star State. Freezing rain from Texas to Ohio, straining power grids all the way from Texas into the Midwest. Snow-covered roads, low visibility. We're looking for heavy snow, again, stretching all the way from Texas on into Missouri today, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow, 2 to 4 in Oklahoma City, 6 to 10 in Kansas City. We're looking at 1 to 2 in Amarillo, Texas. Then for tomorrow, this frontal system moves slowly. That's the big problem, south and east. Heavy rain from Birmingham to New York City. The impacts, power outages, trees down, difficult travel, ice amounts. Look at this swath of upwards of a half an inch of ice and snow with heavy snow, anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow into the Midwest. Detroit could have a top 10 snow amount, 7 to 11 inches of snow, 2 to 4 in Cincinnati, 8 to 12 inches for Cleveland. Then Friday, heavy snow upstate New York and New England. Rain, sleet, and snow moving to the east. By the time we get into Friday, flash freeze warnings now going up for parts of Massachusetts. A heavy wet snow for some areas in New England, 1/4 of an inch to a half an inch, and flash freezes and heavy snow, 9 to 12 inches from Bradford, PA, all the way up to Bangor, Maine. We're going to continue to track this, but this is going to be a high-impact event, guys.
All right, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you. Stick around because there's much more coming up on Today in 30.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
These days, the news never stops. The morning's headlines change by afternoon, and by the end of the day, it's all totally different. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. I get it. I know that it can be hard to keep up. So let's get started together and go from there.
Hey, I'm Hallie Jackson, and we have a ton going on tonight. Here's the deal.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world, because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Hey there, all of you folks watching Today All Day and our little show Today in 30. Craig Melvin here, FedEx Field, because we are about to reveal the new name of the Washington football team. We're about to do that right now. I'll be joined by some special guests as well.
We're back with our second big exclusive reveal of the morning.
Yeah, this is a moment fans of the Washington football team that they've been waiting for. It's the unveiling of their new name.
That's right. Craig joins us now from FedEx Field with the big announcement. Craig, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Over the past 8 decades, the team that now calls the stadium home has become one of the most storied franchises in all of sports. It's about to embark on a new chapter this morning with a new name. We're going to get to that big reveal in just a minute. But first, how the franchise arrived at this moment. They've been grinding it out on the gridiron for more than 80 years. The Washington football team winning 3 Super Bowl championships while building one of the NFL's most dedicated fan bases. For nearly all of that time, the team went by the Redskins. That name and the imagery on the team's uniforms drawing criticism and protests for years among indigenous rights groups. Despite owner Daniel Snyder saying he'd never change the name, pressure from fans, lawmakers, and sponsors led the team to announce a change in July 2020.
What it really shows is that there's no longer
longer any excuse for any team across professional sports, collegiate, or K through 12 to hold on to these Native American mascots and team names.
The team kept its signature burgundy and gold and played by the simple name Washington Football Team for 2 seasons while it worked to settle on a new name. The change coming at a time when the organization has faced recent allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace from 2006 to 2019, with Congress set to interview former team employees tomorrow. The team has no comment on any investigation. The Washington Football Team is now hoping to turn the corner with its new name and new look. Teaming up with fans, the franchise took in more than 40,000 submissions for possible names. The team's new name has been a closely guarded secret.
Oh, yeah.
With a teaser video showing players getting a first look at the new uniforms. For DC's storied football team, today marks a new day.
How much of this is about renaming the team? How much of this is about starting a new chapter in Washington's franchise history?
It's a little bit of both. To me, it really is about renaming the team. But I also think it's about turning the page to a new chapter. I really believe that because, again, we've had so many things that have happened that have been unfortunate. But as we go forward, what I'm trying to do is get us to, buy into judging us now and to where we're headed as opposed to where we've been.
By the way, we should mention I'm part of the Washington Football Team's Fan Ambassador Network, which gives the team feedback on the game day and overall fan experience. But now we're joined by team president Jason Wright, along with his senior advisor, NFL legend Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to start and win a Super Bowl in the NFL when he played for this very team. And we also have team captain Jonathan Allen, who, oh, by the way, is heading to his very first Pro Bowl this weekend. Going to fly out shortly after this conversation. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Let's not make folks wait. Let's not drag it out, Jason. What is the new team name?
Doug, what is it?
We are the Commanders.
We are the Commanders.
The Commanders, the Washington Commanders.
That's right.
Oh wow, you didn't waste any time there.
There it is.
There's the new logo as well. So let's talk about how we arrived at this particular name, Jason. How do we settle on the Commanders?
It's a name that has the weight and meaning befitting a 90-year-old franchise. It's something that broadly resonated with our fans. And it's something that we believe embodies the values of service and leadership that really define the DMV in this community. Yeah. And it's also something, importantly, that we could own and grow for the next 90 years. And it's something that can allow us to tie the rich history and championship legacy of this franchise to new traditions in the future.
We didn't touch the color scheme.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Because folks are wild about the burgundy and gold, as you know. Doug, so when you found out what the new team name was, what was the initial reaction?
Well, the reaction was, I'm gonna hug the Commanders, because that's what we are, and we got to go forward with it. And I do like the name. It got a good sound to it, Washington Commanders. So here we go.
What about, Jonathan, I know that the players had some input as well. When you put on that new uniform for the first time, what'd you think?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I feel like it really embodied not only what the players represent, but what this community and what the DMV represents. So we loved it. We're gonna support it and we're gonna go forward with it. We're excited about the future.
Jason, let's while I have you here, I want to talk about a couple other things. You were brought in 2020 at arguably the most tumultuous time in this organization's history, amid sexual allegations of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment allegations. Some former employees are going to be questioned tomorrow. This was widely regarded as a toxic workplace. What have you done since you've been here to fix that?
I think the rebrand has been an interesting period because it's coincided with a time of very rapid, very real, and irreversible change in the organization. And it's from that position of strength now that this diverse and empowered leadership team is united to bring a championship back to the burgundy and gold under the banner of the Washington Commanders.
You mentioned the diversity. You are the only black president in the NFL right now. Let's talk about that news out of Miami this morning. Former coach there, Coach Flores, now suing 3 teams, suing the league itself, claiming discrimination, claiming racism. We are in the stadium, part of this rebrand, because the logo and the name are widely viewed as racist. Does the NFL still have a race problem?
You know, I don't like to speak on other people's business as a principal. And Tom Garfinkel, the CEO of the Dolphins, is a close ally and confidant to me. But I do know that when ownership is fully committed to diversity, when they're really all in, change can happen very rapidly. Now, the owners of this team hired a Latino head coach, a black general manager, and then a black team president, who in turn then built the most diverse executive leadership team in the NFL. So change can happen quickly. Where there's a will, there's a way.
So we've got a new name, we've got a new logo. What about a new mascot? What's the word on that?
The exciting thing about this is just the launch of a brand. And and just how we took the whole process was one that was fan engaging and really to get the input of the people who love this franchise. It will be that going forward. And so I'm excited to partner with our fans to really infuse and bring meaning into this, because it's going to be a journey for folks to transition to this. So we're going to do the fight song together. We're going to think about how to build a mascot together, and it's going to be an exciting time.
Doug, you've been with Washington a long time, the face of this franchise for a number of decades. Washington fans are loyal, but they can also be a little finicky as well. To folks who would say, "Oh man, the Commanders, that's what they went with." What would you say to those naysayers?
What I'll say to those people is the fact that with guys like Jonathan and this football team, they're going to come to love the Commanders.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Commanders.
Appreciate it.
Commanders. Good luck at the Pro Bowl out in Vegas this weekend, and good luck next season as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you have it, folks. The Washington Commanders for the first time from here on FedEx Field.
Have to get a contest going or something. People can draw them.
I like that. By the way, they do have Commander's Palace in New Orleans. Maybe they need to open one in D.C. and it could be their palace where they all hang out.
Now you're talking.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Our week-long journey across America from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last one.
Was talking smack part of this?
In the City of Angels, 2 kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya.
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Allie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Athlete to Watch is sponsored by Delta, official airline of Team USA.
We are back with an athlete to watch on the eve of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. In Pyeongchang, Mame Baini became the youngest skater and first black woman to make the U.S. Olympic short track speed skating team. Now she is back to chase glory again, older, wiser, and faster.
Olympic short track speed skater Mame Baini is fast.
Baini busting from the third position right to the lead.
fierce
Biney's going to get in front.
and focused on the ice.
Everything is free, everything is blank, like I'm not thinking about anything other than what I need to think about to get better.
Mame first got into speed skating by chance. Born in Ghana, she immigrated to the U.S. when she was just 5 years old, leaving behind most of her family and moving in with her dad in Virginia.
There was like a sign on the road that said learn to skate, and my dad asked me if I wanted to do like figure skating first, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I didn't know what figure skating was at all. I did figure skating for like 6 months, and my figure skating coach, who was also a speed skating coach, told my dad that I was too fast for figure skating, I should try speed skating, and I did.
She trained for years, gaining speed and creating an alter ego to give her that extra edge on the ice.
Her name is Anna Digger. She comes out on the ice, especially like when I feel good and when I feel confident. If Mame was on the ice, I guess, like it would be a very like timid, like you can go ahead. But when Anna's on the ice, it's like, no, like what are you doing? Like I'm first. I'm gonna do everything I can to like get to the next level or get to the next heat or be first.
That drive to succeed earned Mame a spot on the U.S. junior speed skating team at age 15, then later qualifying for the 2018 Olympics and competing in Pyeongchang.
Biney is sitting in fourth.
But Mame didn't place.
Does Biney have the speed? It doesn't look like she's got the chance to catch back up.
She didn't even make it past the quarterfinals for the 500-meter race, her signature event.
It definitely made me more hungry. I took a summer break after Pyeongchang just because I was so tired. I'm so done. But I was also like very hungry at the same time.
Mame has channeled that hunger into her training over the last 4 years, overcoming physical setbacks like a knee injury and back problems, and mental ones too.
Dealing with depression and like anxiety and not knowing if I even wanted to skate anymore just because I was in a very difficult situation, in a really tough situation. You're wanting to do really well, but you can't do really well, and then you're blaming yourself as to why you're not doing well, and then you're blaming other people, and it's just like a whole thing.
But Mame has found a way to center herself through therapy, check-ins with her mentor, and through meditation apps. It's a support system that Mame, a spokesperson for our sponsor Delta Airlines, also uses when she's traveling for competition and championships.
The nighttime is definitely my time to just block everything out and like meditate. I have like an anxiety book too, and like I use that. So those are the times that I block off for myself.
Armed with an unshakable sense of positivity and her megawatt smile, Mame says she's more prepared to compete in the Olympics this time around.
Obviously, I want to win, I want to do really well, but I also don't want to put that pressure on myself. In 2018, it was very much like, I want to try to make everyone happy and I want to try to make everyone proud. But now it's more of like, I want to make me happy and I want to make me proud.
I love that. All of the athletes talk about ways to deal with their anxiety, and it's something that we can all learn from. Here's another thing that Mame does to calm her mind. She says she watches a lot of comfort TV shows.
Like what?
Right? Athletes are just like us. So she didn't give us specifics. I guess it's better than comfort food, which is what I turn to. Comfort TV
why we're
shows.
not
Just
Olympians.
anything you can binge watch and get under the covers and
There
watch.
you go.
You can watch Mame and the rest of the team, Team USA, compete at the Winter Olympics starting tomorrow on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press. The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya.
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world, because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last move.
Was talking smack part of this?
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Okay, if you need a new show to binge, our pal Justin Sylvester has just what you're looking for.
You know what we love about Justin? He gets up bright and early. He looks happy. He is up. It is the crack of dawn in L.A. Justin, I know that you're tuned into everything. What is the hot new show we should be watching?
Well, you guys, before we talk about that, I just need to correct you. Jenna, Hoda's not only in Marry Me, we're hearing Emmy nomination buzz for Best Supporting Actress.
That's what I thought. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that.
Me and Michelle Buteau are going to duke it out, ma'am, for that role. Okay. So what are you watching, Justin?
All right, you guys, I just started this new Netflix show, but bear with me because saying the title might just take up this whole segment. It's called The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, okay? Try to say that 5 times. Kristen Bell plays Anna. She is a true crime-loving wino. I mean, who doesn't like to mix true crime with a little wine? You know, I personally like my Craig Melvin with a little Cabernet. But this woman, everything in her life changes when she witnesses a murder outside of her window. Or did she? Now, the show combines 2 of my favorite things in the whole wide world. True crime and some risque TV. So risque that Kay Bell had to personally apologize to a viewer, and you will not guess why.
Wait, what?
Yes, well, a viewer was watching this show with his mom and his girlfriend, and there was a rated R moment. It turned the whole thing real awkward real quick. I mean, imagine watching 50 Shades of Grey with your mother. Okay, it would be awkward.
Oh, and she responded? Oh my God, that's hilarious.
It was hilarious. Now, you know this is based on a true story, right? Jenna, did I leave the book in your office? Did you read it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, the book is called The Man on the Plaza Across the Street from the Host in the Window. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there might be a lawsuit coming up. I can smell one. Okay, I can smell one.
You can stalk us anytime. We love you. Okay, listen. We know you like sports a little, right? But this sports story, you're just a little. You're into this one.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I don't know why we don't cover sports on The Scoop. I mean, men in tights, need we say more? But yesterday, Tom Brady announced his retirement after 22 years in the league. Now, he did it with an Instagram statement longer than Mariah Carey's list of demands. Seriously, I have read Harry Potter books shorter than this thing. But you know my little eye don't miss anything. There was one major snub in those 25 pages of thank yous. I mean, the man thanked everybody. He thanked his families. He thanked the Bucks coaches, the city of Tampa Bay, the nacho lady at the concession stand in section 201. He did not mention the Pats after 20 years with them.
Ooh, wait,
okay?
What? No.
Now, I thought my little gay eyes were deceiving me because, you know, sometimes in the mornings it's all cloudy. So I called the Scoop Investigation Unit, copyrighted and trademarked. They found 0 traces of the Pats, Bill Belichick, New England. I mean, the man was so savage he didn't even mention Dunkin' Donuts.
No.
Nothing about the fans.
Dunkin'.
Oh, so what's happening? Is Twitter raining down?
So everybody is freaking out. I mean, this would be like if Beyonce retired and didn't thank Destiny's Child. Like if Jenna went to the U.S. Open and sat next to Brad Pitt and didn't invite Hoda, that would never really happen.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
You and Savannah again? Okay. You know what?
Yes.
Why do you dig up old wounds?
Yeah, Justin, what are you trying to do
I love
here?
some old tea. I love some old tea.
Old tea. All right, let's talk about Janet Jackson. She's got that new documentary out. Are there revelations in it? Like, is there new stuff?
Okay, girl, the tea is so hot on this one that the FCC is requiring me to put up a warning, okay? Sip at your own caution. So Janet pulled the curtain all the way back on this one. After years of fans accusing Justin Timberlake of leaving Janet Jackson out to dry, including myself, in the documentary, Janet actually tells us that Justin reached out after Nipplegate immediately, and it was Janet Jackson who told him to say nothing. She said that she was going to take the fall for this. He was a young artist, stepping out, and she knew that somebody had to go down. So she actually took the fall. How crazy is that?
And are they friends today?
They are still friends today. They have been in communication for so many years, and he actually invited her to perform on this year's Super Bowl, on the Super Bowl that he was on.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he did?
We love Janet
Yes.
so much. We got to
love
see this.
Janet. All right,
We
thank
also
you.
love you, even though you stirred some old controversy.
Yeah.
We love you. It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
She's fine about it.
I love you guys.
It doesn't matter.
No, it's fine.
It's over.
You can catch
Hoda hit her for Brad Pitt. How dare you not invite her to Brad Pitt?
I don't know.
Justin,
We have
what's
a
going
long
on?
we have a long commercial break to unpack this. You can catch Justin weekdays on the Daily Pop, our sister network E.
We hope you're back with us for tomorrow on Today because we have a really special guest joining us.
Jennifer Lopez.
J-Lo?
Wait, in the studio.
What?
Yeah, she's got a new rom-com. She's coming out. You guys are going to love that. And we'll see her and you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I love the city of Baltimore. I've been coming here for years, and if there's one thing I know, the city of Baltimore is serious about his crab.
I love Baltimore Crabs.
This is the stomp and grind of crabs.
And I've been eating crabs since the time I could sit up at a table.
It's a little spicy, salty, and savory all in one.
If I could describe the taste, you can't. You just have to try it. You just have to try it.
It's time to head out of Studio 1A and hit the road for a new kind of culinary adventure. Follow me as I taste some of the most iconic foods around the country and meet the families behind them. Together, we're going to learn how a good meal has the power to connect us to our past, our future, and each other. When you think Maryland, you gotta think blue crab, an essential part of the state's culture and cuisine. And no place knows how to cook it up quite like Baltimore. I mean, just as many ways as you can count, you can find ways to eat crab. Of course, there's your basic, your steamed crab with the beautiful spices, and you just start whacking that bad boy. You can get all that beautiful meat out. You can get canned crab if you'd like. Of course, there's also the fabulous crab mac and cheese with a hot dog. There's the crab dip, there's your crab soup, and of course, the king of crab, the crab cake. Yes, but this is a cake that needs no icing. Crab cakes have been enjoyed by many for centuries throughout the Chesapeake region. But here in Baltimore, they're a way of life. And one of the city's most popular go-tos is tucked away just inside the world-famous Lexington Market.
We're headed back to Houston today, and we wanted to have the best crab cake in town.
We're from Orlando, glad to be here.
People been coming to Fayetteville for years.
Yes.
Ever since I was little, and I'm 25.
People from all around the world come here to Baltimore just to grab a bite of the famous Faidley's crab cake. It's made with fresh Maryland crab and family love. Everybody looks the same. How are you, my dear?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So good to see you.
How are you, sir? You looking good?
You're looking great. Got something for you.
All right. There you go.
There you go. You need one of those.
Oh, yeah.
There you are.
Now I'm feeling really crabby. Pardon me, I've got to get a lawyer because there's a clause I have to have checked. I've known the folks at Faidley's Seafood for years, but they've been serving up fresh crab cakes even longer.
Hi, I'm Nancy Faidley Devine. I own Faidley Seafood. It's been in my family now for, 4 generations, and the 5th is coming up, so we've been around a long time.
I think people are astonished to see my parents at 84 and 89 still working. You can get another 5 minutes to do a second batch if you need to with them. People ask her for an autograph, they ask her for a picture, they ask her to hold their babies. You know, it's really fun.
I mean, here's this company that's been part of Baltimore for over 130 years.
Right.
What is it about your place that has people coming back?
Right. I think it's that people come in here and go right away. There's a warmth.
Uh-huh.
It's like walking to somebody's home they're happy to have you.
Uh-huh.
You know, come and you feel, oh my gosh, I feel at home. And I get people, we were here 20 years, it's exactly the same.
In fact, Faidley still stands in its original location, founded here by John W. Faidley Sr. in 1886. Started off as a seafood stall, but over the generations grew into a Baltimore tradition, led by Bill and Nancy Devine, along with their daughter.
Damie Hahn, and I am the 4th generation of Faidley's, so I do everything. Give them a little bit of a smorgasbord of everything. Going over here to fillet a fish, over here to shuck an oyster, over there to steam a crab, back here to fry, up here to make a crab cake, back down on the phone, running in the shipping department. A tray like that is about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bushels of crabs in order to get that tray. That's a lot of picking, and I don't think people realize how much work goes into getting an all jumbo lump.
Growing up, did you think you were going to end up here? You were going to be doing this?
No, but it was hard to get away from, and I couldn't see it going away. I couldn't see it ending with my parents. So
the pandemic hit.
Yes.
You really had to step up.
My father called me and I said, Dad, you guys cannot come in here. You know, we don't know anything about this virus and the effects, especially on the elderly. And I know you want to be here, but you can't. And he said, Damie, do whatever you do, whatever you can to make payroll. It just makes me cry when I think about it. He said, just make sure that we don't have to lay anybody off. I don't want to lay anybody off. I don't want anybody to lose their job. And we did it.
And I saw it back when I came here in the 90s, and I still see it today. This truly is a family.
Oh, it is a family. and it's funny because I often tell people, Mom and Dad don't treat the employees any differently than they treat me. And that's the God's honest truth.
Which could be a good or a bad.
That's the God's honest truth. And that's why you end up having so many multi-generation families staying here.
That's right. Faidley's isn't just a family-owned business. It's run by family as well. Multiple generations of employees, father and daughter, father and son, mom and daughter, all building a home here.
I've been here since a junior in high school, so I've been doing the thing for a while.
I'm gonna say it's been around 33, 34 years.
And I started at the end of '79, a week before my son was born.
I started at 14 years old, and I'll be 42 years old in December.
It's always a challenge working with family. A lot of personalities, but you love each other, and it always works. You know, it always works well.
What's really, really bad is when your kids are grandmothers.
Well, we were in the middle of an interview. Oh, you just broke in.
You have to start over?
Yes.
You were saying about the challenges of working with family?
It's just a few of them, you know? Just a few.
While the family spirit makes customers feel at home, it's Fadley's crab cakes that keep them coming back.
What kind of oil do you cook your crab cakes in?
Soybean.
Soybean, thank you.
So excited to have this crab cake.
And I watch people for the first time put it in their mouth and they go, oh my God. And I go, and they're standing at a table in a market.
Yeah.
They're not sitting down to a white tablecloth and having somebody serve it on a silver platter. It's on a paper plate, but it belongs on a silver platter.
Nancy created her recipe in 1987, saying she's never changed it. So, besides yourself, how many other people know the Fadley's crab cake recipe?
I sleep with her. She won't tell me.
He doesn't even know how to make a cup of coffee. Why would I tell him?
So some people use breadcrumbs. You use crushed up saltines.
Broken saltines, yes. And not fine, because you have to use more. Now, so, and then this is the magic sauce.
This the secret sauce?
Yes.
So it's just enough to mix the ingredients
Right.
together, nothing more.
That's right.
And the
Mine
big
has-
ball of crab right there.
That's it.
Boom. Oh, look at this. Oh, boy. Oh. It was just like I remember eating it 26 years ago.
You know what? I'm told that all the time when people come in here. The best part about this is you haven't changed a thing.
Now, this is a legacy. Well, we know how the crabs end up, but how do they get them? Let's go find out. Coming up, the generations of black watermen who've made a living pulling in Maryland's most famous catch.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya.
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
What happened here is a story of loss and salvation. There were residents who hung on for dear life. This is where you took shelter, in this
I
closet.
took shelter right in this closet right here.
Rioters banged down one of the doors.
Have you found a way to reconcile it a year later?
It really hurt to see this place that I love so much treated with such disrespect.
Was it an act of cleaning or an act of healing?
The Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist podcast. It's the conversations you want to have with the people you'd love to meet.
Get your money's worth.
Unedited, unfiltered.
See ya.
Sit down with Willie and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, new from Dateline, wherever you get your podcasts. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Chesapeake Bay men and women who work these waters are probably just as famous as the legendary catch that they pull out. And in fact, it's back-breaking work that is passed on from generation to generation, including blackjacks. Those were the black watermen who worked these waters all the way back into the 1800s and are a vital part of this community. The Chesapeake Bay is home to a vast variety of seafood, but none as valuable or as well known as the blue crab. The catch here makes up over a third of the nation's supply. And on average, more than 50 million pounds of blue crabs are harvested from the bay.
I'm Captain Tyrone Meredith, charter boat captain, owner, and operator of the Island Queen II.
Captain Meredith knows these waters well. He grew up on them.
I'm the fourth generation waterman, and my great-grandfather, he worked on the water, my grandfather, and my father. We've been here ever since the 1860s, making a living working on the Chesapeake Bay.
This has been the way of life for generations of watermen here in Kent Narrows, a town just 50 miles south of Baltimore. For hundreds of years, they've caught, processed, and sold blue crabs to markets up and down the eastern shore. By the mid to late 1800s, Kent Narrows had also become one of many unlikely havens on the bay for free and enslaved African Americans.
There was more black watermen anywhere on the whole East Coast, probably in the United States.
Those watermen, also known as blackjacks, forged their path to liberation on the water. Their expertise essential to the booming seafood industry. So much so, the government granted some black watermen Seamen's Protection Certificates, providing sailors with American citizenship and a path to economic freedom.
Hey, Lois, I'm coming up on you now. Okay, I got you. Yeah? How'd it biting today?
This morning it did pretty good. Well, being out here is your own boss. You do what you want to do and got nobody to tell you, go get me this or go get me that.
75-year-old Lewis Carter still finds that same sense of freedom on the water today. He's also one of the last generations of black watermen alive. Every morning, before the sun rises, he sets out to catch crabs in the bay.
I started in 1961, I was about 15, and I've been at it ever since. Right now, I'm going down the line, and when I get to the other end, I'll throw it off. Crabs will come up on that bait. The pressure from the water pushes them back in this dipper. Okay, these are the big, large males. You put them in one basket. That's a female with red claws. Put them in one basket.
He's one of the last Mohegans left. There's not too many people that still make a living from the water. Most of them moved away, got other jobs, and it's changing because it's harder to make a living from the bay.
Crabbing season runs from spring into late fall, but changes in climate, cost, and labor have made each successive year more challenging. As younger generations take up new trades, there are less people working the waters and ultimately fewer black watermen.
Back when I started, it was a plenty black watermen, but they died out and the younger ones never taken their place. In one way, it makes me feel bad, you know, and I don't think it'll be no chance no more black watermen. I really do believe that.
Captain Meredith estimates there are fewer than a dozen black watermen on the bay. Like many of his peers, he's had to turn to other work.
Back when I was crabbing teenager, I caught high as 50 bushel a day. Right now, crabbers catching 2 or 3 bushel a day. Now I started running charters, fishing charters, because crabbing started declining and the fishing was more lucrative money-wise.
And educational. His charters are an opportunity to keep stories of the blackjacks alive for generations ahead. Although tradition on these waters is changing, one thing remains the same.
Nothing tastes like the Chesapeake Bay Maryland crab. It's got that certain taste to them. And it's the only place like that in the world is the Chesapeake Bay blue crab.
Next, an up-and-coming Baltimore chef inspired by his family's love of cooking.
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world, because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
We're here to start conversations about the big things happening in our world, because it's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
News is happening now. Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
Tonight, the major announcement of the COVID vaccine.
And this is a significant moment.
Your news, whenever it happens, wherever you are, it's here now.
I believe.
Every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States, let's go! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
We've got a Congress that doesn't seem very functional. What's this election year going to look like? Are we getting ahead of the science? Are we behind the science? How much did this booster confusion set us back? Can the January 6th committee come up with anything that would change Republican minds? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Back in Baltimore, a new generation is putting a spin on the crab cake.
So I'm Alex Perez. I'm the owner of Poppy Cuisine. I'm an artist at heart, so cooking, the arts of culinary, that's something that I'm very passionate about. Not necessarily having a recipe to go off of and just getting in the kitchen, freestyling and coming up with a masterpiece.
It's that freestyling approach that brings people through these doors, clamoring for a taste.
Jumbo, what crab, lobster?
Crab is king in Baltimore, so you're gonna see crab cakes, crab cake fries, crab cake egg rolls. Everyone's been going crazy over it as well.
This is the bomb.
So I just come back to that, and I enjoy it every time I come here.
We actually live in D.C., so we rode all the way up here an hour just to come here.
Right now I'm drizzling our warhead and our aioli sauces on it. I have a family from the Dominican Republic. I'm Afro-Latino. I'm black on my mother's side. And pretty much I've always had a love for food and cooking food, eating food. So learning how to cook from my dad. So my dad taught me how to cook at the age of 10. I grew up, watching my grandmother cook a lot as well. So I started pretty much combining the foods that I learned to cook from my grandmother with the foods I learned how to cook from my father. And that's kind of like how the whole Poppy Cuisine, was born in her kitchen, essentially.
That was 8 years ago. While working a full-time job, Alex began building a new business on the side, catering food out of his grandma's kitchen. In February 2020, he was finally able to open a restaurant. Then, the pandemic hit.
Of course, a month later, we get the news that we have to shut down and only do takeout. So that just opened up the floodgates, essentially. And you had people standing in line, hundreds of people on the block in that mass, cars double parked up and down the streets. And it was mayhem.
During a global crisis, the city Alex was born and raised in rallied around him. Now, Poppy Cuisine is packed with locals and tourists alike. But the chef stays true to his roots, running it with close family and friends.
My little sister, Natasha.
Hi.
How's it going?
Natasha, my big bro, Alex.
I can employ family members, friends, and so forth, that people who I grew up with, people that I'm close to, and it's very rewarding,
Coming up, I'm going to grab my apron and join Alex and Grandma Gloria for a lesson in cooking crab.
In the City of Angels, two kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
What are you doing for teachers who feel that they're being stretched too thin? Did you understand how prevalent hunger was in your own community?
I believe every dream, journey, and triumph.
And it all starts here.
United States wins gold! Feel the magic every day.
The excitement is in the air.
At the Winter Olympics, today is where the games begin.
This is a very different kind of program. We're here to start conversation about the big things happening in our world. Professor, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do we think that the new normal is going to be? Is part of this that everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employers? What is your biggest tip for any parent who's concerned about this? It's not my job to tell you what to think. My job is to think about what you tell me.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Our week-long journey across America, from Washington, D.C., outside of our nation's capital, you rarely see.
It's your last one.
Was talking smack part of this?
Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
I wanted to meet Alex and his Grandma Gloria, the inspiration behind his cooking. So I dropped by their kitchen to say hello.
Well, I know I picked up from my grandmother, my mother-in-law, and just put my own spin on certain dishes. I didn't follow it to the recipe to the letter.
So you're able to ad-lib a little bit.
Yeah, but he's always asked me when I fix a dish, well, what did you put in this? How did you do this? And I would tell him, I said, you don't have to follow to the letter, put your own spin.
And Alex has done just that, turning the classic crab cake into an egg roll. Genius! The ingredients, simple. A pound of jumbo lump crab, panko breadcrumbs, aged cheddar cheese, egg roll wrappers, and a couple of sauces and microgreens to top it off. There's the star of the show, the crab meat. Put on an apron. I've got rubber gloves on. All right. Patient's ready. So how do we get started, Alex?
Yeah, so first what you want to do is we have some Maryland jumbo lump crab here. So for the most part, it shouldn't have much shells in, but typically I like to sift through it. Just gotta see if there's any shells, and if so, you can put the shells right back in this container.
There you go. So Gloria, did you know you were helping raise a culinary genius?
Well, no, but I know he liked to eat.
This sauce particular is our crab sauce mix. So we're gonna drizzle a little bit at a time, because I don't wanna put too much, just enough to bind.
You got enough foul?
Yep, I think I'll have enough.
She's so funny. I like this. I like this lady.
This is why I'm so particular about, when I'm doing things in the kitchen. Gonna start actually rolling these things up. Yes.
Why do you think this recipe is so popular at the restaurant, the most popular?
Well, I think because it pretty much gives you the ability to take a Baltimore favorite and make it handheld and on the go. Throw in your hand
kind of a street
eat.
food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons it's very popular, other than the taste as well.
Right. Well,
yeah, because that's
you can take it with you, but if it doesn't taste good,
exactly.
Come back for it.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to take like a pinch of crab. It's around like a quarter cup or so. They're gonna sit in the middle.
Not too much?
Yeah, we want to take a little bit out, a little pinch out. Actually, we want to put a little bit more in. Yeah.
Which is it?
All right, so that's perfect right there. That's perfect. And we're gonna literally fold them up envelope style.
What is it about cooking and family that is so important?
Yeah, I think for me, living a busy life as a business owner and a dad, a husband, and things like that, I feel like food is an opportunity for family to come together, talk about things, especially if you haven't seen each other in a long time. And it's a way for us to connect. So, here you go.
Lori, is it true you've never done this before?
No, I haven't. It's true.
Oh. Could have fooled me that you never did this before. Look at that. Bam! Done!
Faster than I did.
Wow! Wow! It's a natural grandma thing. Love it. So now we're going to get the deep fryer up here and fry these bad boys up.
Oh, absolutely.
Woo! If you had to describe the heart of your cuisine, what is it, and how does Baltimore kind of is part of that?
Pretty much my story, and I think that connects very well to our Baltimore, because I grew up here, all my life, and I think everything that I faced during the time that I started this company up until now, I've been transparent about, and it resonated very well with the people in Baltimore, and they watched my journey through the years, and I feel like that's really the heart of what I do.
Make sure
and something crisp around the edges and things like that. So that's why I keep turning them, so it doesn't fry on one particular side too much, and just want to even fry.
Ooh.
Nice and golden.
So we want to cut these diagonally. So I'm going to drizzle. This is our aioli sauce, house made, and this is our warhead sauce right here. So the sauce is kind of sweet, has a tangy bite to it.
Oh, kind of like Gloria.
Yep, that's right.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to do.
Yeah, and that's
Try
the
it.
piece.
Yes, yes. Crab cake egg roll.
Here we go.
Wow. Chef Alex, you have done Baltimore proud.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. Our time here in Baltimore is coming to an end. We tried the traditional crab cake, tasted a modern spin with crab cake egg rolls, and even went straight to the source on the Chesapeake Bay. At the center of it all, one thing still ringing true: food tastes better when you eat it with family.
Good morning. Monster in the making. A powerful winter storm takes aim at 100 million people across 21 states. A 2,000-mile path of snow, ice, and rain from New Mexico to New England. More than 1,000 flights already canceled today. Al has your full forecast.